estar acá hablando contigo no es juego. Es una mafia. Ese no es como decir, le estoy robando un chocolate a un niño. Se enteran mis jefes y me pueden matar. Yo me dedico a llevar maletas con billetes falsos, dólares falsos. Yo voy a traer la maleta armada. Me llaman por teléfono, oye, hay un encargo para llevar.
¿Y tú sabes cuánto dinero va en la maleta?
La última vez que fui llevé 500.000.
¿Cuánto?
$500.000 falsos.
Impresionante. ¿Y todo en una maleta?
Todo acondicionado en una sola maleta. Todo ese dinero termina en Estados Unidos. Todo ese dinero que uno manda. Es una organización, son varias personas en esto. Estoy metiendo en algo bien fuerte.
Every city has its secrets. Lima is no different.
¿El pasaporte?
Over the last decade, a new criminal enterprise has taken root.
Pesos, dólares, euros, todo es falsificado.
¿Ese?
And a new breed of gangster craftsmen has emerged.
Es más rentable que cocaína.
But how they work and who they are is a mystery to me. And I'm not the only one looking for them. This footage is from the Peruvian National Police, who have turned up the heat and turned Lima into the front lines in the war on counterfeiting. That's how I landed here, at Lurigancho Prison, one of the most dangerous prisons in all of South America. The Peruvian National Police tipped me off to a counterfeiter they recently nabbed, a man they'd been chasing for years.
Vamos a esconder completamente tu identidad y nadie va a saber quién eres. Siempre protejo la identidad de las personas que hablan con nosotros, eso te prometo.
Nadie sabía que yo trabajaba en eso.
¿Tu trabajo cómo era?
Bueno, uno de los mejores.
He's wearing a mask for two reasons. He doesn't want to be known as a snitch in prison, and he doesn't want his young daughter to know that he's locked up. He's told her that he's taken a job abroad.
Y siempre dólares hacía.
Siempre dólares, nada más.
¿Por qué?
Por la facilidad que es.
¿Cuánto dinero te...?
¿Me encontraron?
Sí.
10.
10 millones de dólares falsos.
Incredibly, it's estimated that 60% of all fake US bills are produced in Peru.
Si yo quisiera hablar con alguien afuera, ahorita haciendo ese trabajo.
Muy difícil.
¿Por qué?
Porque las personas se cuidan demasiado, que puede perjudicarles.
En términos de seguridad.
Siempre hay una persona que anda con ellos.
Armada.
Claro.
He says it was an informant that ultimately got him busted by the police. But the hunt for this man actually began 3,500 miles north. Two weeks earlier, I paid a visit to the Secret Service. The agency we associate with these guys in crisp suits protecting the president is also in charge of protecting our money. When fakes are detected anywhere in the world, they're sent here for the monetary equivalent of an autopsy. I watch as analysts examine each of the bill's component parts. The paper, the ink, the colors. Within each fake hides clues about its origin. Telltale markers are discovered, the chemical makeup of a certain ink, or the density of a certain paper stock. Each bill then gets cataloged, helping the Secret Service identify the world's biggest players in the counterfeit game.
What happened in the early 2000s, the first Peruvian produced note started popping up, and in Peru there were no counterfeit laws at the time. It just caught her by surprise that it started there.
This field agent wants to remain anonymous for safety reasons. He tells me the agency first opened a Lima office in 2012 because the counterfeit scene was booming.
These guys are artists. The workmanship's there and the skills are there. It's being produced at high numbers and very high quality.
Tonight, the real cost of fake money.
Officers want everyone to be on the lookout after a batch of bad bills has turned up in the city.
Another counterfeit money bust in Limestone County.
When it comes to counterfeiting, it's pretty much crime that hurts everybody. From nations' economies to businesses to your mom and pop stores, things that are being passed that are worthless. And you're at the bank and next thing they look at you like you're the criminal. It's almost like a mugging that you didn't know happened.
We tend to think of black markets as a world apart, but the truth is, they're all around us, hidden in plain sight, difficult to see, until someone lets you in. That's especially true when tracking this counterfeiting story in Lima. The leads are literally everywhere. Seemingly everyone has been a victim of fake bills, with the walls of some shops looking like a gallery for the city's criminal artisans. In a cash society like Peru, anywhere money changes hands is an opportunity for a counterfeiter. And nowhere does more money change hands than here, among Lima's cambistas, or street-side money changers. Sometimes it's the customer trying to slip fake bills to the cambista, and sometimes it's the other way around.
Cambistas, the money exchangers, I never go to those. You never know what's real and what's fake. It's a very murky world, put it that way.
I contact my friend, Fernando Lucena. He's a local investigative journalist who said he could get me in touch with one of these crooked cambistas. The man I'm meeting is akin to a neighborhood drug dealer. He's my entry point to the underworld. I'm hopeful he might introduce me to some of the bigger players in the game, the ones moving millions in fake bills into the US.
Tú me dices, no quieres la cara, ¿verdad? Okay, he doesn't want his face revealed. Dime un poquito de qué haces tu trabajo así.
Soy cambista.
Cambias dólares a soles.
Soles, dólares a soles.
¿Y dólares falsos?
Sí. ¿Te lo digo?
You just asked me if I was a buyer, if I was an undercover buyer. No. ¿Tienes? ¿Puedo verlo? He's gonna show us some of the fake dollars that he sells. ¿Puedo ver? ¿Tienes miedo de dármelo? Estamos agarrando. This looks pretty great to me. Pero el sonido, this sounds like money to me, ¿no? ¿Y son de buena calidad?
De muy buena calidad.
Pull the bill out, turn it over, feel it. There's texture. It's rough and smooth. There's a watermark security thread, layers and layers of detail. Each element presents a new challenge for counterfeiters. But the better their handiwork, the more they can charge, and the more their services will be in demand.
¿Cómo haces tú a saber qué es falso, entonces?
Nosotros nos enseña 3 pasos en cómo filtrar de cero. Tocar, mirar y girar. Tocas la textura, la calidad, ¿no? el relieve,
y giras también.
So, touch, look, and turn. We all have intimate relationships to money. We chase it, we spend it, we save it, we make big life decisions because of it. And yet, it's so common, I've never really looked at it. The best fake bills are so exquisitely crafted, they aren't noticed at all.
Dime una cosa, ¿piensas que si continuamos en contacto contigo, podríamos hablar con las personas que los hacen?
No creo.
¿Por qué?
No, yo me comprometo como me comprometería a mí y eso, ahí sí, no. Yo creo que ahí sí me da vuelta o no. Ellos se cuidan mucho, ¿no? Y estar acá nomás ya es, para mí es peligroso.
Before the money changer left, he confirmed what the Secret Service told me in DC, that once the designs for the fake bills have been produced, there are essentially 3 key positions in any counterfeiting operation. The printer, who is the master artisan in charge of bill production, the finisher, who adds the necessary texture and polish to the bills to make them passable, and the bourier, who transports the fake cash out of the country. I want to find all 3, something an outsider has never done before. It's the best way for me to fully understand the inner workings of this black market and the circumstances and motivations of the people who run it. Enter another of my contacts, a local producer who shares a nickname with Peru's national dish, ceviche.
Aquí en Perú somos campeones haciendo cosas, nosotros decimos alternativas.
Alternativas falsas.
Sí, somos unos artistas, pero no tenemos el potencial como para ser legales, digamos.
Over the last several years, he's been building connections in Lima's underworld. Specifically, through a man we'll call Diego. Ceviche tells me that the counterfeiting racket in Lima is run by a handful of families, and Diego's gotten tight with one of them. Each of these families controls underground workshops, where old-school offset printers churn out sheet after sheet of fake bills. Criminal organizations bound by blood are notoriously difficult to penetrate. Getting inside one of these operations, especially with cameras, is next to impossible.
Estamos esperando la llamada para que ellos nos citen en un lugar.
¿La cita es con quién?
La cita es con el dueño de la fábrica y su capataz, el brazo derecho del dueño de la fábrica.
¿Qué son los riesgos?
Los riesgos que hay que tomar es muchos. Que nos secuestren, ¿no? Que nos pidan recompensa a alguien y eso va a ser lo peor.
In this business, there are always risks. But I felt okay with a daytime meeting, hopefully somewhere public. That is, assuming they call. 3 hours pass, and still nothing from Diego.
¿Qué tal?
Oye, están yendo para allá, me han llamado.
Yo voy para allá con...
Yo me voy a encontrar con ellos ahí en el colegio Guadalupe y ahí camino para allá. ¿Por qué no venir a tomar una favorita de toque? Porque como ahorita ya faltan 40 minutos.
When the adrenaline kicks in, I know things are about to get good. We're on our way to meet with a gang of Peruvian counterfeiters in one of the shadier neighborhoods in Lima.
A última hora, a la gente tenía... Pero quedamos en que tenemos a reconfirmar, pero te voy a llamar para...
At the last minute, they change the meeting spot.
Ya están allá.
Ya están.
Ya están allá.
They're waiting for us already.
With the location change, we'll be late to the meeting. Part of me wonders if these guys are looking for an excuse to bail on us. Lima's counterfeiters are extra skittish these days. I would be too if I was being hunted. There have been a series of huge busts recently, including one only days before we arrived that intercepted $5 million in fake bills. The Peruvian National Police gave us this footage. It wasn't at all what I'd expected. I'd imagined these counterfeiting operations happening in warehouses or factories in dark corners of the city, but much of it seems to be happening in residential neighborhoods, on quiet streets, inside garages, hidden in plain sight.
Okay, cameras down.
For obvious reasons, we couldn't record this initial meeting. But let me tell you how it all went down. I've been on a lot of these Underworld first dates over the last 15 years. You never know exactly what you're walking into. At an outdoor cafe, Diego introduces us to the boss and his bodyguard, who is covered in tattoos. One on his arm reads in English, "Only God can judge me." The mood is tense, suspicious. As I always do in these situations, I order beers. Soon after, I'm sharing my unofficial resume, photos on my phone of me hanging out with men like these from all around the world. Then the food arrives. More talk, more drinks. I then explain that I've heard they're the most talented counterfeiters in the world. You'd be surprised how many doors flattery can open. I knew I'd passed the test when the bodyguard gave me a nickname. He pointed at me from across the table and said, "Mi reina, my queen. You're gonna see amazing things tomorrow night." In any city, there are people who play by the rules and people who don't. Usually, it's hard to tell the difference. Finding my way into the criminal underworld is always an adventure. That's why I love what I do. It's also knowing that once you're in, you get to witness what very few outsiders ever do. A universe governed by its own laws and power structures that teaches us a whole lot about our own.
Ya con eso estamos.
¿Cómo
Todo
te
tranquilo.
sientes?
Ya emocionado.
Sí, yo también. Entonces es mejor salir ahorita, ¿verdad?
Sí, vamos,
Ok,
porque
vamos.
no llegamos.
Okay, let's do this.
Para tu pan con pata, mira, llévate 4 patas, 2 soles. 4 patas, 2 soles, casera, mira, buena pata, mami. Pata fuerte, pata cremosita, pura mantequilla, mi buena amiga. Llévate 4 por 2 soles. Llévate 4 patas, 2 soles.
Game time.
¿Qué?
Pero primero quiere que baje yo para ver dónde va a ser el lugar, para que me expliquen ellos cómo vamos a entrar todos.
Okay. Porque va a haber una, cada uno de cada vez, ¿o qué?
Sí, de repente, porque no vamos a entrar todos, porque se va a notar que hay mucha gente y como son gringos, va a haber problemas.
In Peru, like many places in Central and South America, gringos is synonymous with Americans. In this case, the counterfeiters are on guard that any gringos could be Secret Service agents trying to infiltrate their operation.
Nos vamos a observar desde que vamos a llegar.
Tiene gente que sabe exactamente cuando llegamos.
Claro. Aló.
Ya, escúchame. Antes de entrar al parque, hay una entradita a la espalda del Ministerio de Educación que era. Hay una entrada.
Ya.
Listo, peligro.
Ya.
They've told us to meet them here, at a downtown park. Ironically, only blocks from the Palace of Justice. Somewhere in these surrounding buildings, fake money is being made. They've set 2 rules. Only the crew they met with are allowed inside. And once inside, we stay the entire shift, from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. No one leaves. I imagine it's a rush to see your net worth growing with every new sheet of bills coming off the press. You could print yourself out of debt, or into a new car or a new house. It's not hard to see the allure, or the desperation that would cause someone to enter this line of work. 1 hour, no call back from Diego. 2 hours, Diego's phone is off.
¿Qué piensas que pasó? ¿Alguna cosa? ¿Tal vez la policía o qué?
No, hubo otro que lo hayan quitado el teléfono y lo hayan botado, no sé.
Things aren't looking good.
It's been over 3 hours. They haven't shown up. I think it's pretty safe to say that we've been stood up. No chance this is going to happen tonight. Ya, vamos, Cich. Yo pienso que ya esperamos bastante, ¿verdad? No van a venir.
There's nothing worse than getting this close and not coming home with a story. But giving up isn't an option. They are still out there, and I'm gonna find them. Stories go cold. Sometimes you can't explain it. You make a connection, you make plans. Things seem to be falling into place. And then you find yourself staring at your phone for a call that never comes. In these moments, I always remind myself that nothing's changed. The story is still out there. Somewhere in the city, offset printing machines are churning out sheets after sheets of fake dollars.
No les importa a qué persona puede engañar.
I just need to find a new way in.
Esta organización criminal, poco a poco nos íbamos dando cuenta que ahí era. Las paredes de la casa estaban revestidas con triple y con ternopor, que van a reducir al mínimo la sonora. Esta gente se cuida muchísimo.
Nothing happens as fast as you want it to.
This isn't the safest neighborhood, so we should try to avoid showing off our cameras.
But I have faith that another door will open.
¿Cuáles son las áreas en Lima donde se hace más ese trabajo?
Salvador, Fentanyl, pero mayormente los códigos.
They were definitely like sussing us out.
Lo que yo sé es que es un círculo bien cerrado. No están así al aire que hablan. Tu palabra vale bastante en ese medio. Todo es palabra nada más. Tu palabra vale más que tu pistola.
Until I can find some of these counterfeiters in the wild, I lean on the contacts I've already made.
¿Cómo fuiste capturado? ¿Dónde estabas?
Imprimiendo. Impresión, maquinista.
¿Verdad?
Llegaron cuando estábamos en pleno proceso. La policía llega. Nos tiraron al piso. El coronel dijo que él almorzaba, cenaba pensando en mi nombre cuando me iba a capturar. Ya me tenía pero nunca me podía capturar. A mí me agarran imprimiendo el billete, ¿no? Lo tenía casi listo, ¿no?
¿Por qué eras tan bueno?
Se habían perfeccionado varias cosas. de lo que era el color, todo eso.
Entonces, ¿tú sabes a memoria todos los detalles de todos esos billetes?
Claro.
Tengo dinero aquí, si me puedes mostrar hacerlo.
Todo es saber los colores de memoria, matizar en el color, nada más. Darle el color preciso. Siempre se trabaja con un billete verdadero y un falso, y el que estás haciendo. Se trabaja así, con esto, ahí.
Okay, so he's showing us how he works.
Su seguridad es esto de acá, el hilo, nosotros le llamamos el fantasma.
El fantasma, the watermark.
Que siempre se notaba cuando lo ponías, nada más. Tiene que ser mejor que este y mejor que este.
Todavía mejor que el verdadero.
Si este es de la competencia, el tuyo tiene que salir mejor. Y siempre con esto. La mayoría de veces yo trabajaba de día. Y los colores tienen que ser a la luz del día para ver el color lo que es. Por decir un día que era un lugar público. A veces trabajaba de día, con la puerta abierta.
En lugares públicos, con otras personas al lado.
Claro, galerías, imprentas.
No son tipo fábricas grandes con varias máquinas.
No, es una sola máquina.
Eran impresoras legales.
Sí. Bueno, cualquier máquina de imprenta, el que le sabe dar el uso para eso le da.
Impresionante. Yo pensaba que era así en lugares escondidos.
La policía pasaba, tú estabas imprimiendo.
¿Verdad?
¿Verdad?
¿No tenías miedo?
No,
¿Y nadie sabía?
nadie sabía. Me iba una marita mágica diciendo no, aquí, aquí. ¿No? Porque siempre que iba no encontraban nada.
Siempre que iban en el lugar de impresión, no encontraban nada. ¿Por qué? ¿Qué hacías tú?
Lo cambiaban de lugar.
Ah, siempre cambiaban de lugares.
Por eso era que se cambiaba de sitio. Para que la persona no se dé cuenta de eso.
¿Qué tal, amigo? ¿Cómo estás? Estamos dirigiéndonos al punto, ¿está bien? Estamos cerca. Ok, perfecto. Estamos ahí en unos 5 minutos, creo. Perfecto. Listo. Muchas gracias. Chao, chao. Okay, seems that everything is in place.
Yeah?
So far, so good?
Fingers crossed.
It's 5 a.m., and my initial contact in Lima, Fernando, has a new lead on a printer who seems willing to meet with us.
We got this meeting set up in a illegal printing operation where we're going to meet a guy who's supposedly an ink master and finally see what these printing operations look like. What can and can't we do?
What he's told me is basically keep the team as small as possible. Don't call his name in front of anyone. Just keep it low key.
We just want to be absolutely sure that we play by their rules because we want to be able to get this in the bag. Everybody's anxious and nervous and hoping that this will all go as planned.
We park outside a shopping mall and wait for word from our contact.
Okay, there are 2 guys walking. Is that him?
Yeah.
Right? That just came out.
Fred, be careful.
Yeah, Fred, if he sees you. Okay, he's here. Okay, let's go, guys. Yo sé que está nervioso. Tiene que tener confianza en nosotros, porque nosotros no queremos que pase nada con usted. Y como periodista hago eso, ya sabe, hace 15 años. Y protejo siempre las personas que trabajan con nosotros, le prometo. This is it? Wow, this is incredible. And they're just printing fake money.
It's early morning in Lima, and the smell of fresh ink is in the air. I found my way to a printer who specializes in counterfeit US dollars. It's like no Underworld scene I've accessed before. It's so out in the open that I'm actually nervous for them.
Wow, this is incredible. This is amazing. I mean, we're in a printing mall. It's too early, so all the shops are closed. So it's this surreal scene where we walk down these corridors and everything was closed, and then suddenly there's a bright light here, and they're just printing fake money.
Han descentrado en todo. El dueño del circo soy yo, sino que el payaso gigante me ordena. Yo soy en otra palabra, yo soy el cerebro en esto.
Printing is the most daring aspect of fake note production. It's loud, it's long, and it's often done in public locations like this. It's also very difficult. It takes years to learn the secrets of this trade. The inks, the paper, the machine. The process of forging bills is equal parts art and science. Very few have the right combination of talents.
Eso ya tiene la cara de Franklin.
Ese es el primer paso. Ese es el fantasma.
This is the beginning of everything they do here. Every single $100 bill that's done here starts with this metal plate. And it's essentially the watermark, el fantasma.
These plates are made by coveted designers and are critical to the whole operation.
Con el inicio del trabajo, ese es el alma del trabajo. Y si no haces bien eso, no vale nada. Ya no sirve nada del trabajo.
Check this out. All the bills coming out.
Vamos a pasar a la segunda parte, que eso es el fondo.
Ah, the second part is the off-white color of every banknote.
Aquí hay varios colores, no es un solo color.
Y generalmente el proceso todo, ¿en cuánto tiempo?
Un mes y medio.
¿Por qué tanto tiempo?
Es que son los colores de tinta, cuando cae varios, se pega. Ahora lo vas a ver que se va a pegar.
Y se tiene que dejarlo secar.
Sí, secar.
That is crazy. So the whole process takes a month and a half. ¿Cuántas notas de 100 se puede hacer con una máquina así en un mes y medio?
5 millares de este tamaño.
¿5 millares?
Este tamaño.
Veces 12, porque a 12.
Claro.
¿6 millones de dólares?
Claro.
No. Holy, that's a ton of money. That is crazy. They can make $6 million with a machine that cost them $7,000 to buy here. ¿Y las personas envueltas que trabajan en otros lugares saben que estás operando eso aquí?
No saben. Imaginas que te ven haciendo esto, ¿quién va a querer hacer callar? Ahorita por esto hay problema, ya es un delito ya. Nosotros estamos cometiendo un delito ahorita.
The later it gets, the more nervous the printer becomes. We can hear other shops opening, voices echoing down the hallway.
Ahorita vamos a hacerlo rápido esto, porque puede venir, eso sí que no vean. Esto es normal. Ponte la tinta, todo el papel, toma. Todo el papel. Nandito, lo que salga eso, por favor, rápido.
The mood totally changed and they're super nervous because you can see the $100 bills here, the metal plate. So they want to do this process really fast.
Sí, es rápido, ¿no? Eso sí ven, ahí sí problema.
Wow, check this out. This is amazing, pero increíble, me imprimo. We've got the watermark, the background color of the banknote, and now Franklin's face. Yeah, okay. He's hiding everything. They heard that there's somebody walking down the corridors.
Vamos. Okay.
We have to go.
As we head for our van, it hits me that what surprised me most about the printer is something that also surprised me about the prisoner. They were both conflicted about their decision to get into counterfeiting, but both realized that perfecting their craft was the best way to stay in demand.
Es como cualquier trabajo, un inversionista, un trabajador, como cualquier otro trabajo normal. Lo malo que es, pues, que es ilegal. Solo mi trabajo era imprimir y entregarlo, ¿no? Y ya el acabado era otra cosa.
Once the bills come off the printer, there's still work to be done to make a convincing fake. Fernando is able to locate another of Peru's finest underworld artisans, the finisher. His role is to add texture and weight to the bills, so they will pass the touch, look, and turn test. We're driving to Villa El Salvador on the south side of Lima, an area that locals describe as picante, meaning hot. Hot with every criminal enterprise you can imagine.
The cops call it Villa Salvaje because the murder rate is not particularly low.
Is that him? Just keep the camera up and roll. Hola, ¿cómo estás, Mariana? ¿Todo bien? Te vamos a llamar de Ronaldo, ¿ok? Porque no quieres tu nombre verdadero, entonces como eres la caballista, como el jugador de fútbol portugués, Cristiano Ronaldo. ¿Está bien? ¿Puedes mostrarnos solo lo que compraste muy rápido? He's going to show us the stuff that he just got. So it's a sponge, a regular.
Esto para ser más exacto, para el corte de los.
This is for cutting the notes. To make a straight cut.
Y esto para pegar, para que tenga otra textura el papel.
Cuando compras todos esos materiales, cuando compraste eso y todo, ¿tú no tienes miedo que van a sospechar que estás haciendo esas cosas?
No, porque es una cosa sencilla, pues, ¿no? Que se pueda comprar, pues, ¿no? Normal, pues, ¿no? Como útiles escolares, ¿no? Pues, no hay nada sospechoso en esos materiales.
The US spends millions and millions of real dollars to deter counterfeiting. And these counterfeiters get around it with school supplies. In an effort to look less conspicuous, we plan to meet back up in his workshop. We sneak in our cameras in bags. I wonder if his neighbors have any idea what's happening inside this room. If they only knew. My search for the makers of the finest counterfeit bills in the world has brought me to this working-class neighborhood outside of Lima. And to this man. They call him the finisher, and his skills are in high demand.
¿Me puede explicar el proceso que estás haciendo?
Lo primero, esto es una plancha. Remojamos en una tina con lejía y con vinagre para que pueda salir el color verdadero de un billete.
It's a painstaking process, all done by hand. With a popsicle stick, he applies glue for weight and texture.
Ahí está removiendo el exceso.
Que quede liso.
To get the feel just right, he adds what he calls English cornstarch. which I recognize instantly.
Eso se pone con leche para los niños, para que comer, para que se comer. It's a thing you make for kids porridge. I used to eat it when I was a kid.
Con eso vamos a vertir en las partes donde tiene que tener relieve. El inglés tiene un brillecito, un brillo que le va a dar al papel.
¿Puedo ver? Ya lo sé, siento aquí un poquito. You can really feel the texture, it's changed. It's amazing.
He says he also works on hundreds and 50s, but 20s are easier to fake and much less scrutinized. With just a few items you can get at any corner store and a whole lot of patience, the touch, sound, and smell of the bills are totally convincing.
¿Tu familia sabe que haces eso?
No, mi familia no sabe, nadie sabe.
¿Nadie?
No.
Entonces ahorita piensan que estás dónde.
Que estoy trabajando, que estoy haciendo un cachuelo, un trabajo extra.
Si tu mujer lo descubre, ¿qué puede hacer?
Alejarme de mis hijos.
Entonces tú tienes un otro trabajo.
Sí, ser chofer.
¿Y haces más dinero haciendo eso o haciendo el chofer?
Haciendo esto.
¿Cuánto más?
El doble. El doble.
¿Y piensas tal vez que con el trabajo que estás haciendo que estás engañando personas, que personas pierden dinero?
Sí, se me ha pasado por la cabeza, pero prefiero no pensar en esas cosas. El dinero pasa de mano en mano y de todas maneras dinero es dinero y afecta a todo el mundo, ¿no? Y pensar en mí y en lo que yo necesito.
It's always fascinating to me how people end up working in black markets. In many ways, counterfeiting is just another crime of opportunity. A driver by day discovers he has the extraordinary patience and craftsmanship to finish bills by night. A printer specializing in calendars and business cards realizes he can deploy the same machines and skills to produce stacks and stacks of fake bills. But all the time and work that goes into making a convincing fake is worthless if those bills don't reach the legal economy. And that's where this man comes in. They call him the Burrier, a Peruvian mashup formed from the Spanish word burro, meaning donkey, and the word courier.
Hay dos modalidades de hacer esto. La modalidad momia, que es pegarlo en el cuerpo. Ponen todo hasta abajo, hasta los tobillos, y con una casaca grande pasa. Prefiero yo la modalidad de la maleta de doble fondo. Simplemente me llaman, agarro la maleta, me lo llevo, regreso y nada más.
Tú, que se te decidieran antes de tener familia, un día vas a hacer un crimen así, vas a hacer una cosa criminal así, que tú pensarías que sí, que sería posible o...
Hice este trabajo porque estaba económicamente mal. El carro malogrado, vendía las cuentas de mi casa, todo esto. Y por eso me atreví a hacer esto. Lo veo muy riesgoso eso. Claro que siempre cuando salgo me encomiendo a Dios, como todos nosotros nos encomendamos a Dios, que no nos pase nada en el camino, ¿no?
Entonces, con todos esos riesgos, ¿por qué estás hablando con nosotros?
Así como tomé el riesgo de llevar, me estoy tomando el riesgo ahorita de entrevistarme contigo. O sea, como quien dice, tengo los huevos para hacerlo. Yo estoy llevando, como decir, una encomienda, ¿no? ¿A dónde llega? No me interesa.
Counterfeiting networks know that some portion of their shipments will be confiscated, so they employ an army of ants who transport fake bills into the US. By airplane, by car, by boat, on foot, they even ship fake bills through the mail. But getting these fake bills into the country isn't enough. They need to get them into circulation. The counterfeiting game is all about getting change.
What you might do is at different shopping centers, going down a highway corridor. You could hit malls on the north side of town and malls on the south side of town. One fast food place, one convenience store. You spend, $8, $9, and then you pay with 100, and that means you're coming back with, $90-some of genuine.
Of real money?
Yeah. You could, pocket $1,000 by the end of the day, and you're not really doing much. It's like an ATM that doesn't belong to you.
When counterfeiters do get busted, their stash of fake bills gets sent to the Secret Service, where they're examined, cataloged, used in prosecution, and then destroyed. Some of these fake bills are probably from Peru. Maybe they even passed through the hands of the guys I met.
Increíble.
But even if the Lima scene is shut down, there will be others.
Nunca vamos a vivir eso. Siempre va a haber una forma.
¿Y no te sientes mal haciendo eso?
Sí, está bien, ¿no? Pero es del ingreso. Mucha gente hace lo bueno y al final no gana nada con eso.
Todo en esta vida tiene riesgos.
Nadie. Nobody's coming.
Con la familia, a veces uno hace hasta lo que no debe hacer.
It's an old con and an old truth. If you're desperate enough to make some money, one option is to make some money.
Let me know when you're ready and we'll bring mine.
Hey, let me tell you something. Money is the root of all evil. A lot of people do a lot of crazy.
Why do you scam?
To make money. Make money. Fast money. You call it scam, we call it the money game. Who's the best person to scam? Your average, middle class, unsophisticated losers.
They're all Americans.
95%. When Americans started, you're stupid. Let me say that again. Very gullible. There are a lot of lonely people there.
Lonely?
If someone is lonely, have the voice on the telephone that always cares.
They just want to talk. Chop.
They said you crazy, man.
So don't you feel
Not
bad?
for these people? No, not really. Why should I?
In this game, you can't be sorry. God will provide. God ain't providing.
Jamaica, Israel, two capitals of a multi-billion-dollar industry. Meet the voice on the other end of that unrecognized number that won't stop calling you.
Hello.
Jamaicans, we are the best at all that we do.
This area is all the tourist area, right?
Yes. Last year we had over 4 million visitors to the island. Montego Bay is the best tourist destination you can find in the world.
Are you trying to sell me on tourism?
Oh, yes, you can come
here
at
as a
any time.
tourist?
Oh, yes, come at any time.
Jamaica. For most of the 1.5 million Americans who visit every year, it mostly looks like this. Tourists like these stay at all-inclusive resorts, like this one, and do this, which leads to this.
The 99% are not the minority. Get the 1% control the majority. They bring money, that's not worth a thing. And the only power over what you're thinking, how you're living, whether proper or clean.
Tourism is the backbone of Jamaica's legal economy, and the resorts of Montego Bay are the crown jewel. But step outside the walls of your hotel, and it's a different story.
Montego Bay is built in a sort of strange way where you have a mix of the very rich bordering communities with extreme poverty.
Mark Titus is a journalist and former cop. He knows the areas of Montego Bay that don't make it into the tourist brochures.
Welcome to Jamaica.
Day 3 of the state of emergency in St.
2 weeks before I arrived, the governor here declared a state of emergency.
Crime has increased a lot, frankly spurred by gang warfare, mostly organized crime.
The area surrounding Montego Bay, the tourist paradise, now has one of the highest per capita murder rates in the world.
Welcome to the slum where the guns them plenty.
With an uptick in crime in St. James,
But what's causing much of this violence isn't drugs or politics. It's a new hustle.
What are the gangs fighting for?
They are fighting for loot from lottery scam.
Lottery scams. You're probably familiar with some version. You get a call saying you won a lottery that you don't even remember entering.
You have won yourself $7.5 million in a 2019 Mercedes-Benz S-Class.
That's pretty exciting.
All you need to do to collect whatever they're promising, your millions, your new car, your new house, is to send a processing fee.
One-time payment, a one-time payment only.
The price is fake, of course, but the fee you've been conned into paying generates $300 million a year for Jamaican scammers.
That is scamming.
Guys suddenly who didn't have anything yesterday, today are rotten rich.
Scamming now rivals the drug trade as a lucrative and violent source of revenue for Jamaican gangs.
Guns out, gunfire, gun smoke. As it starts, the smoke, the gun smoke.
I wanted to understand what's referred to here as the game. Meet the players, see how it's played.
Word of wisdom. Enjoy Jamaica, the best of Jamaica, but be careful. We grew under a culture of informer fided. That means an informer giving information must die.
Mark warned me that it would be difficult to get people to talk about the game. But the rise of scamming can be measured in another popular aspect of Jamaican culture. In a neighborhood called Steertown, I met with this man, local dancehall artist exclusive.
So what's happening here tonight? What are you doing?
We're doing a video for my new song.
He's the man behind Big Money Poppin', the latest entry in a growing musical subgenre. Dancehall tracks celebrate the danger, easy money, and fast lifestyle associated with scamming culture.
What's this song about? What's the general theme of this song?
It was about money. What's going on? Scamming is going on, prostitution is going on. So let's sing about it because it's going on.
Can you sing it a little bit for me?
Hanga them there. Scammer them there.
And scammers them there, meaning scammers are
around. Yeah, they're around.
Why did you decide to write a song about scamming?
It's not a business. It's not a song about scamming.
I've been warned that this line of questioning might not go well.
But there's a lot of scamming in it. I mean, the word scamming comes up a lot in the song, and it's the most... No?
You know, it's a song that gets you hyped. Big money popping. Big money popping anywhere we go.
I decide not to push it. It's enough to know that the man whose breakout hit became a scamming anthem doesn't want to talk about scamming. But that same night, I meet a man who says he knows someone who can help. Which is how I wind up in a car with a man I'll just call V.
It was straight, but she slipped it first in there. No, straight this lane, middle lane.
Okay. V knows a lot about scamming, but he's skittish as hell.
Remember, please ask him to keep the camera out of my face.
Okay, make absolutely sure we don't film his face or anything that identifies him.
They'll probably say that I am an informer for dead. Informers get gunshot, kill them.
No.
Look, go around this area. This is one of the centers.
As it turns out, V wants to take me for a little history lesson of scamming in Jamaica.
This complex all around us, these are all call centers for American
all call centers for American, European companies.
It all starts here, in call centers. Call centers were set up on the island to take advantage of the fact that Jamaicans speak English.
My name is Andrew, and I'm calling you from the brand services.
And receive lower wages. But a few local entrepreneurs saw another opportunity. The lists of names and phone numbers used for telemarketing, political donations, market research, and debt collection can also be used for scamming. These lead lists, as they're called, are the backbone of the game. They're valuable, and here in Jamaica, they're bought and sold underground.
So these are some of the places where they're getting the contact lists.
These are some of the places where scammers make millions of dollars off of.
After earning V's trust, he tells me he can introduce me to someone who has even more knowledge about scamming. He leads me to an abandoned house, far from the beaches and tourists. This is how I meet Tweety.
Hi, can I come in? I'm Mariana.
Tweety.
Hi, Tweety, nice to meet you.
Juliana.
Juliana, nice nails.
I'm greeted with weed and even stronger rum.
This is what I'm drinking. Fire.
Tweety and her friend Juliana, not their real names, agreed to talk to me about the game.
Now I have to put on the glasses.
So what would happen if they found out who you were, that you were doing this?
Well,
I show the face, they leave me as informer for them.
in Jamaica, we don't play. Friends kill friends. Your own family kill you and your own family set you up. Jamaica is not a playpen.
By day, Tweety works at one of the many resorts on the island. She wouldn't tell us which one, but says she makes in a month what tourists pay for a one-night stay.
They ain't paying you nothing. They ain't giving you right? Going to work, it's like slavery. You have to do something else on the side. So everywhere you go is a scamming.
So what is it that you do on the side then?
Make me calls them, do me dialing. As I say, it's an entrepreneurship.
As it turns out, the hospitality industry is great preparation for scamming. All day long, Tweety is interacting with mostly American clients.
So I basically know how to talk to you, how to get into your head.
Then, after hours, in her free time, Tweety opens up her lead list.
Names and numbers and addresses in the United States.
Correct.
Americans.
Because you have the US, the big money popping.
Big money popping?
Big money popping, right. No disrespect, but white people love free things.
No disrespect taken.
Tweety doesn't want to show me her lead lists. They're closely guarded here in Jamaica. But after a little more rum and smoke, she and her friend Juliana loosen up and show me her rap.
Hello, good morning. Your cash prize is a winner of $3.5 million or even a car or whatever, you know? And then the person will probably say, oh, really?
I don't believe it. You're totally lying. Are you kidding me right now?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do anything.
How did I win
didn't
this?
do anything. How did I get this million?
You're really good with the accent.
You're probably thinking, how does anyone fall for this? But there's a definite profile of the victim that Tweety has identified.
Some people talk does not even hesitate, they just send the money. Because they're just so lonely and miserable. Husband divorced, husband is dead, wife is gone, whatever the case may be. So most of them lonely.
Are they all older people?
All older people. One elderly lady, I took everything that she so-called had, right? And she only had one thing, that was her wedding ring that her husband died and, you know, he left for her. She went and she sold her ring.
To send you the money?
Yeah, to send me the money. People say it's wrong, and it's not, to me, it's not wrong. You send us money once, you didn't receive anything. You send us money twice, you still hasn't received anything. Are you crazy? These people are stupid. Sorry, but they're stupid.
Brash, unrepentant, cold. That's how Tweety sounds when talking about stealing from lonely old people. But her posture quickly changes when she tells me how she first got into scamming.
My grandpa was sick, and the surgery cost 400,000 Jamaican dollars, and he died. All he needed was a surgery, and it couldn't happen because of money. This is way less than the money that I'm making right now. So, you know, we grew up in the church and waiting on God to provide. And God ain't providing. I'm God for my family. I'm God. I provide. I put food on that table. I did all of that. And if God don't approve of me making something out of myself, then God.
With the state of emergency driving most scammers further underground, I was grateful for the chance to meet Tweety. But the crazy thing about my job is that one minute you find yourself trying to understand a scammer, and the next, you're with the people charged with hunting them down.
All right, everybody here? The target is described as stoutly built, brown complexion. We'll be searching and seizing all electronic devices, laptops, cell phones, magic jacks, banking documents, warrants. We don't need a warrant. The target location falls within the state of emergency. We should be on high alert just in case the target chooses to shoot his way out.
Lottery scams have led to violence in Jamaica and caused untold damage abroad. In almost every corner of America, you can find news stories of those targeted.
It's a crime that preys on the most vulnerable, and the victims often lose their entire life savings.
It's no secret that these scammers go after older Americans.
It was a great American dream to win some money where you could retire.
Their methods can be ruthless. The results, tragic.
After being asked for yet another $1,500 more to claim his prize, Poland put a gun to his head and killed himself.
As a result of awful stories like these, the U.S. government has partnered with this task force.
So once you enter the community, it's already sort of a risk, right?
Right. People start making phone calls, informing their cronies the police are on way. So we have to get there as quickly as possible.
Okay, we're here. Don't get out of the car. Wow. He's got his gun pointed right at the door. They just broke into the house through this side door right here.
Come here. Hello. Sir, relax. Yeah, man, sit down. We're gonna conduct a search of your premises. We are searching for lottery scamming paraphernalia, credit cards, credit card burners, those type of things.
You think this is real gold?
Yeah, man.
A Rolex? This is also a Rolex? You see this a lot?
For lottery scammers, yes. That's a brand new car. This is evidence that this young man tried to destroy when the police tried to head off.
Was it submerged underwater?
It's written in the shower.
Wow, so it actually has somebody's name, and you can see this whole conversation that they had. And it says, "Welcome, Miss Ella. Your account balance is $17,500,000. You are subjected to pay the authorization fee totaling $120,000 as soon as possible." And they're promising that they will receive over $17 million.
Lottery scammers believe in a lot of obeah. You could probably call it black magic. What we see here is a lot of cans that they use to practice
Obia.
This one is actually called the $1 million spray.
$1 million spray, right.
Means if you spray it,
You
you're
can
going to
make
be
it-
blessed with $1 million.
They believe so.
Wow. Some of these are incredible. Look at this one. Famous double fast luck spray.
This one is called Bring Back Customers.
The state of emergency led to an uptick of arrests like these. Some of the bigger players have even been extradited to face justice in the United States. All in all, it's a tense time to be a scammer in Jamaica, which isn't making it any easier for me to meet more of them. But then I was invited to meet a local boss, a man who runs a crew of scammers. We arranged to meet at a hillside hideout, only a few miles from Jamaica's rum-soaked resorts.
It's like a bunch of guys with masks waiting for us.
Okay.
Can't tell if they're armed or not, but we should probably go. Hi. Okay. All good? This is the microphone.
As we approach the meeting spot, it's clear the boss isn't taking any chances.
So we keep going this way? Hi,
Yo,
I'm Mariana. What would you like me to call you?
call me Victor.
Victor. Okay. Can I ask you what the G is for?
They say it's a Freemason sign, but I take it for being a gangster.
So you're proud of that?
Of course.
Can I put a mic on you, Victor?
Yeah, do it. You're a female, I have no problem with that.
You wouldn't like it if it was a man doing this?
Never. Couldn't even touch me for a second.
Okay, thank you.
You ready, Mariana?
I'm ready, Victor.
Okay, let's go.
So these guys, we're surrounded by 1, 2, 3, at least 3 that I can see. 3 guys.
Yeah, they are my bodyguards like that. They're holding me down.
What guns are used to protect?
AKs, AR-15s, Tommy guns, automatic Glocks. My gun is a Glock 40. It's my baby.
So what do you do, Victor?
You know what I do. I'm in the game. You call it scam, we call it the money game.
How long have you been in the money game for?
More than 12 years. We just left high school. We didn't have no jobs at the time and we were getting in so much trouble, so we decided to want to try out something new.
Do you remember the first time you did it?
Oh, sure. On the phones, I met a guy, I think his name was Mike. First time he sent me like $500. I couldn't believe it. First day of my life in this game, the amount of money I see.
Since those early days, Victor has risen to become what he describes as a mid-level boss.
How has the state of emergency affected you guys?
Oh, my team have to scatter, man. Otherwise, you'd come and see about 20 guys right here, right now.
Really?
Or more, yeah. I have more than 200 people under my organization.
200 people working for you?
Probably more.
No way.
Of course.
Behind all the swagger is a young man who says he grew up on the rough side of Montego Bay, with very few options.
The most reason why we do this is just for survival. We have such a huge history of being broke and stuff like that, things taken from us, so, you know what I mean? Sometimes we just look at it as taking some back.
In other words, reparations. The idea that scamming white people is payback for a brutal history of slavery and colonialism. It's a justification that I heard from Tweety as well. It's also the title of perhaps the biggest scammer anthem of them all.
Them call it scam, me call it a reparation.
Pat's Carter, yeah, reparation. It's my song, it's my jam.
We go every scammer, we make US dollar.
I love that song. I used to play it every morning just for like giving me energy to go through the day.
Have you ever had to hurt anyone because of scamming?
I never really have to take anyone's life through scamming, but I really roughed up and hurt people and stuff like that. I'm just finding a way to make some money, otherwise I'll be going out there trying to rob somebody. I was even thinking about doing it today, but I'm thinking you're a very nice person.
Wait, you were thinking of taking our cameras and robbing them?
Everything, of course.
You were thinking of taking our cameras and robbing them?
Everything, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, well, at least I wouldn't hurt you, but I would take your and make some extra money off it.
I don't know how to feel about this.
It's okay, Mariana. You're a very cool kid. I like it.
Thank you, Victor.
Yeah.
Do you think there's more money being made by scamming than in the drug business here?
Of course, scammers make more money than drug dealers are like small time to us. If they see us at the party, they got to go in the corner. They're jealous of us. We ball harder than these guys. All the girls flex to us, not them. We have the hardest girls, man.
Over the next several days, I meet with a handful of other scammers, and they're all full of surprises.
So, first question is, why these masks?
Me personally, I'm a fan of Donald Trump.
You're a fan of Donald Trump?
I think he's an honest president. Whereas most U.S. presidents tell lies, I think he's showing the true nature of America.
The Trump twins are actually college-educated brothers. Another woman I meet had turned to scamming when she couldn't make enough money as a hairstylist to raise her 4 kids.
There's no shame in it. It's wrong, but there's no shame in it.
What fascinates me most are the day-to-day details of their work.
Every day.
Every day you call 284 people.
Every day.
At its heart, scamming is a sales job. Only a tiny percentage of calls are going to generate cash.
Of those people that you call, how many of them?
Sometimes I get like 2 or 1. If I'm lucky, I got 3.
So volume is key.
Okay, so it's an Excel sheet, and the Excel sheet is called Client. So there's a Nancy, Clarissa, Rhonda, Paula, Alice, Chad. Just saying the first names? Just first names.
Yeah, it's a lot.
This is crazy. So wait, we're at 4,500 and I'm still scrolling.
Much like sales, it helps to know how to close the deal too. This man, who says he's made millions scamming, has a special trick after telling his marks that they've won a Mercedes.
You even send the key to them. The key for the car.
You actually send a key?
Why not?
Like a fake Mercedes?
A fake one, yeah.
The best scammers are relentless, but they're also intuitive, quickly assessing what the voice on the other line really wants.
Most of the times people just want to talk companionship, lonely as sometimes they just want someone to pretend to be their husband.
Them just complain about something to get compensation, something free.
Money.
Everybody wants money.
Everybody.
Everybody wants to drive a flashy car.
Guns. Guns. They like to have more. People always need more.
With little more than a burner phone and some gumption, scammers can reach across oceans and wreak havoc on the lives of ordinary people. Welcome to the dark side of globalization. Half a world away, I was about to get a glimpse of an even more lucrative type of scamming. While scamming in Jamaica brings in hundreds of millions of dollars a year, scamming in Israel is reported to bring in billions. I want to know how it works.
What's happening? You can see him? Okay, everyone ready? He's driving up, guys.
So I arranged to meet with a man who was described to me as a big player in the scamming industry. I'm told he's made a fortune running various investment companies, all of which specialize in financial fraud. I was also told to be very careful.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you so much for meeting us. I'm
Pleasure.
Mariana.
Moshiko.
Moshiko.
Do you have a phone?
I do?
I'd like to have it.
Okay.
I don't want to be tracked.
So you're gonna turn it off?
Just give it to me, I'll take care of it.
Okay.
I've interviewed hundreds of people through the years. Moshiko is the first, to ever take away my phone. I ask him to give me the scammer store of Tel Aviv.
We're in the Ramat Gan, an area known as the Diamond District. In buildings like this, and all these skyscrapers you see, they have hundreds and hundreds of people that go to work each day selling fake investments to people around the world.
In a lot of these buildings that look completely legitimate, there's actually all this fraud.
Many of the companies there are just fake scams with a name that makes them look real. No one knows what's going on behind closed doors.
Is it an open secret? You seem to know. Do people in Tel Aviv and Israel know?
No, they don't want to attract attention. They don't want reporters calling them. It's a massive, massive fraud. They want to be under the radar.
How many of these companies, fraudulent, scamming companies, do you think there are?
In Israel?
Yeah.
5,000 to 10,000.
No way.
100%.
Holy
While the lottery scam in Jamaica is the go-to con, in Israel, it's all about the investment scam. The depth of this fraud was first uncovered by Simona Weinglass, an investigative journalist who was tipped off by a source working at a scam investment company.
He told me that there wasn't just one company like this, but there were hundreds and they were stealing billions of dollars. It sounded crazy, and it turned out to be true.
Just like in Jamaica, Simona says the investment scams in Israel often start with call centers and lead lists. Employees at these seemingly legitimate companies cold call potential clients and get them to invest in an exciting trading opportunity.
You start to trade, you'll see your account going up and up. The retention agent will keep talking to you and getting you to put more and more money in. And then eventually, when they sense that you're not going to put any more money in, they just disappear with the money.
Josh, you work for a company, getting clients and lying to clients and scamming clients?
Yes.
I found one of these agents who was willing to talk to me if we agreed not to reveal his identity. We'll call him Josh.
Where do you find the clients? How do you...
So somebody's searching a certain thing through Google, like somebody's just looking about finance, we know that this person is interested in finance, so we catch them.
They catch them with ads and websites like this that look like legitimate and professional trading platforms and often promise easy trading and profits.
You convince these people to invest with you, and then after they give you the money that you want, you sort of disappear?
We actually don't disappear. We work with them for a while. We really show them the growth so that they can put more and more and more.
At any point, is that money actually invested in anything, or is that money...
No.
So it's all a lie?
Yeah.
The money was never in your account to begin with. There never was an account. This company was probably not where they said it was.
Josh works in one popular version of an investment scam, which is often sold as a binary option. Not all binary options trading is fraudulent, and the scam version itself runs the spectrum from misleading investors to the outright theft that Josh and Simona describe. But binary options fraud became so pervasive that both the Security and Exchange Commission and the FBI were forced to issue warnings to investors. And over the past year alone, the U.S. Justice Department has charged at least 15 binary option agents. Around the globe, Israeli scammers have allegedly stolen billions.
Do you ever feel guilty about what you do?
Yes. I hardly sleep. My soul is like telling me, fighting against what I'm doing on my actions.
On one occasion, Josh claims he was so racked by guilt at how much money he'd already stolen from a Canadian client that he actually called the authorities to prevent the client from transferring any more money.
And did anyone find out that you did that?
No.
What would have happened to you if they did?
I would have not been sitting here right now. Either I would be killed or something like that.
You'd be killed?
Yes.
Is it that serious?
It is. Very dangerous.
He says his soul is crushed by guilt and that he works under the threat of violence. And yet, he keeps scamming because he keeps 10 to 15% of any money he brings in.
It's a huge amount of money.
How many of these companies do you think exist here in Israel?
Now the industry has gone underground. They're not as open. I hear from people that these call centers are still everywhere.
Jobs for multilinguals in Israel. Let's see what shows up. Looking for hardworking, fluent English speakers, enthusiastic and assertive, who are looking to make a lot of money. A young and dynamic atmosphere with snacks. For the snacks alone. I'm gonna send an email to this one. So, apart from people like you, who's benefiting from this?
I know there are a lot of mafias involved in this, from Georgia, Russia, Israel, of course.
Hi, this is Maria Flores.
Maria?
Yes, Maria Flores. I emailed about a job position. If I wanted to go to one of these companies and film undercover inside and say that I'm applying for a job, what should I say?
Why, you applying for something?
Maybe. So I've got my little button camera right here. I've got the mic pack.
All right, let's roll on it.
While applying for jobs at what I suspect might be a scam investment company, I've turned to Josh for advice on how to get my foot in the door.
You can say that I know how to do sales, and probably you can get it.
Not in the actual trading.
No, there's agents who don't know anything, a single word about trading. They just know how to sell.
I've worked in translations as an interpreter. I also worked at a carpet rugs company where I was dealing with very rich clients.
Some of the companies would like you, you know, to polygraph.
Okay. Yeah, a polygraph? That's never happened to me, but okay.
You're dealing with a lot of money going back and forth. Everybody's doing it.
Should I be concerned about my security if they find out I'm filming undercover?
Yes.
What do you think they could do?
There are no limits. What about worst damage you think you can get off?
I mean, if I could be hurt or killed like
Exactly. So that's it. That's the answer for your question.
Have we thought this through, guys?
This, for better or worse, is where my curiosity gets the better of me. What could these places possibly look like from the inside? There's only one way to find out.
So, I'm Maria Flores. I was born in '87. I'm moving to Tel Aviv with my boyfriend, which is Jacob. He's Israeli. I'm applying for a sales job at this company. You're my friend, and you're helping me with Hebrew. Yeah, sounds good? Yeah.
My wingwoman for this operation is an amazing local producer, whose name and identity we've agreed not to disclose.
So I've got my little button camera right here. I've got the mic pack. This gets really hot, so I don't want to turn it on early. Yep, definitely nervous. Just can't wait for this to be over. So you're constantly thinking that maybe they're going to realize that you're filming, even though they probably aren't.
All right, let's roll on it.
You see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's recording now. Wish me luck, guys. So, you say, what's your 5th floor? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. 5th floor. This is it. Okay, so we're here. It sounds like there's a party going on in there, right?
Yeah, there's music in it.
Hi, how are you? I'm here to meet. I am. Oh, you were waiting for me.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
This is the man I had corresponded with over email.
This is a nice office.
Yes, it is. Have a seat.
Thank you.
I'm not going to be the one who's going to.
Oh, okay.
Because that's going to be a team manager.
Yeah.
He's going to be here over this.
We can't know for sure that this is a scam company, but our sources told us to be on the lookout for certain clues, like a blind emphasis on sales and assurances that no knowledge of finance is required.
That's obviously sales.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
And that's where you come from, right? You come from sales?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
My only fear is that I don't know anything about the Forex market.
Most of my guys here didn't have any qualification in Forex or financial industry.
Really? Okay, so it's not that hard.
No.
So what are you looking for? What kind of characteristics would you...
Wants to make a lot of money. That's very important.
Great. So all I need is to want money.
Yes, yeah. So I'll
Then the manager arrives.
Hi, nice to meet you too.
And gets straight to the point.
You're working for a platform, trading platform, okay? People here are making up to 150,000 shekels per month.
Wait, how much money can I make here?
You want it in US dollar, it can be up to $30,000
A month.
a month, okay?
Not bad for an entry-level job. Again, it's hard to say for certain that this is a scam company, but for an investment firm, they sure have a funny approach to customer service.
It's important for me to tell you right now, because I don't want you to have a wrong idea about this place. We don't care if the client is making money or losing money. We just want them to trade, okay? This is how the system is making money. Okay, I will tell you from now on, there are two things that you're going, let's say, to lie about them. Okay, is first of all, your location and your personal name.
Salespeople at scam companies are ordered to sell under fake names. They're also told to lie about the company's location. The scammers say they're in New York, London, Zurich, but never ever Israel. If you don't know who you're dealing with or where they're located, it's very hard to get your money back.
Any other questions?
That is it. He kept looking at my boobs. Can you believe it? I was thinking, are they looking at my boobs or the camera or my necklaces or what's happening?
Okay, guys. Okay, the good news is that I was hired. I can start as early as next week.
Nice.
Congratulations. I mean, super shady. I'm so happy it's over.
As we drive through Tel Aviv, I realize the city skyline provides the perfect white-collar camouflage. So much of the business world looks and sounds the same. The offices, the branding, the button-downs, and yet some not small number of these normal-looking people are on their way to normal-looking cubicles, where they'll spend their days stealing money from innocent people around the world. And for what? So they can buy a big-ass yacht. On my last day in Tel Aviv, I caught up with Moshiko to try and understand how he justifies the lifestyle he's chosen.
I've had people wire me $500,000 and in 3 months might send them back $30,000 and they think they just had a bad experience with financial markets.
There's no part of you that feels bad about this.
I
That
feel
you're
wrong.
taking away the last $200,000 from Joe the mechanic, who's worked all his life for this money.
If Joe the mechanic thinks it's responsible to send $200,000 to a website that he hasn't checked out, Joe the mechanic needs to be responsible for his decisions.
So, Moshiko, you seem like a very smart person who's obviously has no problem making money. Why do it this way?
Where else can you make $1 million in a week from home? Come on. You live one life. Why should I spend my whole life working, making $50,000 a year, when I can sit here and I can enjoy my life?
How much money do you think you've made from this?
Most I made in one day was $300,000. 10 plus years, I've probably brought in $75 to $100 million.
Moshiko says that scamming is here to stay. It's an inconvenient truth about the globalized world.
Just like P.T. Barnum said, there's a sucker born every minute.
You know who else said that to us? A Jamaican scammer. The exact same line.
That is absolutely true.
Hello? Hey, Adam? Brace yourself. Are you braced? You've won $19.42 million US. How'd you feel?
Okay, how is that possible?
Adam, do you eat out?
Yes.
Are you vegetarian?
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, Adam, you ran your credit card at a Whole Foods store. Have you had Whole Foods recently?
Yeah, all the time.
Adam, you've won. You've won. What are you gonna do with $19.42 million?
Hey Adam, if you're watching, I want you to know that this call is a scam.
Adam's a sucker.
Adam, you're not a sucker. But the guys on the other line are hoping, really hoping, that you are.
I would be shocked too. I've never won anything, man. How are you so lucky?
They make a living in a way that's obviously wrong. But imagine waking up every morning and seeing a bunch of tourists spending more money in a week than you make in a year. And then going home to a place outside resort walls that were erected to keep you out.
Historically, I don't think the scales have been set right yet, you know what I mean?
Now imagine all this is wrapped in a history of slavery and exploitation, a legacy that is very much alive and well.
There's been no compensation for colonialism and the 400 years of slavery. It's reverse imperialism.
Reverse imperialism.
Yeah, we're taking resources that are readily available. Most youth are unemployed. If you have a phone, you have a chance.
If you have a phone, you have a chance. It's the most powerful rationalization I've heard. Phone scamming as a last resort. A literal lifeline. Even so, most scammers I met seem to struggle with what they do.
Little jungle out here.
Right.
I know Tweety does.
Almost there, Mariana, almost there.
Huge spider web.
Yeah.
Just down here?
Yeah.
You good? This is really cool. Is it cold?
Yeah. So here in Jamaica, you have black magic everywhere. We believe in wash-offs. So we wash off the crosses, the bad luck.
So this is to ward off the evil spirits?
Right. We call them duppy, but you guys say ghost, right?
Ghost, yeah. And you mix that with water?
Water.
Okay.
Oh, it's getting wet.
Wow, it's raining. It's raining a lot.
So I got blessing, you know?
Extra blessing? I'm gonna join you since I'm totally wet already anyway. There's no point in me pretending here.
No, we gotta pick up a big one, you know?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
I've spent a lot of time with people like Tweety, telling stories of those who make a living on the wrong side of the law. All too often, the people who inhabit these worlds are painted as ruthless criminals, immoral villains, bad people. But in my experience, they are a lot more like us than we want to admit.
Some people have it hard, some people have it easy. This whole life is...
Let's start new beginning, right?
Fresh start, new beginning.
Everything is a scam. Everybody takes their piece.
Who's making money off of these industries? Everyone. It funds entire countries.
What would make you stop doing it?
If I'm a billionaire, I'll be done. I'm helping a lot of people with it. Family, friends, everybody. Will I ever stop scamming? No, it's too much fun.
How do you think this is gonna end for you?
That's it? That's it. It's the life. Life goes on.
Yeah, man. Get it. All right.
All this wonderful Miami that you see, all started out with drug money. This town was built on coke money. Every bit of it.
If you did cocaine in America in the 80s, it almost certainly passed through Miami.
Miami's Cocaine City, the main cocaine transit point between the American mainland and the Bahamas.
Millions of dollars worth were smuggled in by this man alone.
I got paid $500,000 a trip. I wouldn't do it for any less.
Rival gangs battled for their share of the drug profits, making Miami the murder capital of America and inspiring my favorite TV show as a kid, This was my first glimpse into the cocaine underworld. I was fascinated by the money, the violence, the larger-than-life characters, and of course, Crockett's fashion choices. I had no idea that decades later, the Miami smuggling scene would be hot again, and that I'd be the one chasing the traffickers.
They're starting to bring the old roots back, with connections all through Central and South America.
This is a story about one of the most infamous and intractable smuggling routes on the planet.
¿Cuánto de drogas tienes?
La cocaína es una cosa que se tiene al país. Son los que trafican con la droga.
After 40 years of the multi-billion-dollar U.S. war on drugs, how is cocaine as cheap and plentiful as ever?
Cops don't catch anybody, man. People tell.
Let's go. We were spotted.
And who are the people putting their lives on the line to deliver Americans their preferred party drug? I'm heading on a 3,000-mile journey from green leaves to white lines to find out.
Alto control obligatorio de Manchete. It's the police checkpoint.
Sí, okay.
Hola, ¿todo bien?
Okay.
When your job is reporting on black markets, a few checkpoints are to be expected.
Equipos de filmaje.
But nothing stirs the butterflies in the belly quite like the last checkpoint. The one before you step into ungoverned territory.
Gracias.
Entonces eso es para controlar las drogas.
Las drogas, sí. Como somos equipo de filmación, no nos ha revisado mucho.
Pero generalmente revisan todo.
Todo, las llantas, todo, lo desarman hasta el carro.
¿Están siempre allá?
Sí,
aquí
ahí
están siempre.
As we clear the checkpoints, we enter a lawless region that produces roughly 1/5 of the world's cocaine. The Vrain.
Que no me enorgullece, pero es uno de los mejores productores de cocaína, porque abunda la hoja de coca, que es la materia prima para hacer el producto.
Entonces, de la calidad de la cocaína que sale de aquí, que es muy buena.
Excelente.
My guide to this world is my friend Cich, who lived in the Vrain for many years.
Allá están secando la hoja de coca.
¿Verdad?
Sí.
No, they're drying out cocoa leaves right there.
Ese es coca. Están secando.
Locals here in the Vrain have been growing coca for thousands of years. But this isn't your typical farming community.
¡Armas! Acá alrededor, para que no haga ahí, luchamos contra la delincuencia. A los rateros, los que están robando, las personas que están mal de vivir. ¿Quién corrige acá esa terraza?
Throughout the valley, vigilante militias like this are the de facto law of the land. These coca farmers turned soldiers are trained to defend their communities and their crop.
Aquí está la coca. Coca leaves. Eso, ok. ¿Y ustedes la ponen en la boca así?
Sí.
¿Yo puedo ponerlo más ahorita?
Normal. Masticar, no vas a masticar, no pasar.
Masticar, no. Saying I should just chew it, not swallow it. It tastes like a leaf. Y se siente adormentando un poco la boca, ¿ah?
Sí, claro. Porque tiene droga, pues, droga tiene.
Sí. Buen sabor, amarguito, pero bueno.
Here in Peru, it's actually legal to grow and sell coca leaves. It only becomes illegal if you're processing those leaves into cocaine.
Eso te da energía.
Valor.
Sí. Valor. Fuerza.
Originally, the militias formed in response to the Shining Path, a ruthless communist group that rose to power in the 1980s. Its members have waged a decades-long civil war to overthrow the Peruvian government.
Nuestros enemigos están por arriba, por los cerros, el sendero luminoso.
The Shining Path controls key smuggling routes and has been known to attack communities to expand its territory. That's how the group makes its money, extorting growers, makers, and smugglers for protection or safe passage.
Bien, subsisten los senderos luminosos ya como se sabe que por el narcotráfico. Pero de todos modos, nosotros acá en el Bray, también, ¿no? Nuestra población vivimos tan solamente de nuestra hoja de coca mayormente, no hay otro producto. Es el único sustento en nuestro Bray, ¿no?
The politics in the Vrame are complicated. To fund their fight against the Shining Path and to support their families, these farmers sell their coca harvest, and they never ask questions about the buyer's intended use.
Tenemos un hombre caído. Bien, bien, bien.
But the truth is, nearly 94% of coca leaves in the Vrame go to drug traffickers. Here, the drug trade is controlled by small family clans who operate independently. And all of them are suspicious of outsiders. When locals see a bunch of gringos, they think we're American law enforcement. That's why I'm leaning on Ceviche to help me get access to the next step in the process.
Yo hacía servicio de taxi de un pueblo a otro y a veces pues la gente llevaba sus insumos.
¿Insumos dices cocaína?
No,
Entonces,
insumos son parte de la cocaína, ¿no? Sea ácido, sea hojas de coca.
Pero tú sabías que estaban con eso porque iban a producir la cocaína.
O vas a llevar cinco bolsas de lejía grande. ¿Para qué? ¿Tanta ropa lavas? No.
¿Y qué hacías en esos casos cuando sabías que estabas transportando?
Puro lo llevaba.
Turns out that one of Ceviche's former passengers is still active in the cocaine trade. He's part of a family clan that buys coca leaves and processes them into cocaine paste.
Es complicado. Entonces ellos te muestran por confianza.
¿Y cuánto tiempo de aquí están?
Una hora.
His contact agreed to meet, but gave us very little information. We were told to take the one road out of town and wait for further instructions.
So we're driving for an hour up the mountain in these dirt roads. We're heading to meet the dueño, the owner of a drug operation, who's given us the green light to film his lab in the jungle.
All I know is that I've been promised to see the place where cocaine begins its 3,000-mile journey to the U.S. But for now, everyone is just nervous about getting there.
We've been told that every time a car approaches or we go through these towns that have lights, that we should hide our faces because they don't want to see, any gringos in this area because it would raise suspicions. Baja tu cámara. This area is quite dangerous.
Even though we've gotten permission to see this cocaine lab, to get there, we have to pass through land controlled by other clans and militias who have no idea who we are or what we're up to. So I'm a little startled when, in the middle of a deserted road,
in the pitch dark,
a man suddenly appears out of the darkness.
I'm trying to figure out who this guy is. Entonces, ¿tú vas con nosotros? Ah, ok. ¿Y tú trabajas ahí o cuál es tu papel? Perdón.
The chemist, the key figure in the whole operation, was standing on a mountain road in the pitch dark. Sometimes you can't make this stuff up.
So they're checking the area to make sure that everything is safe.
Ya listo. ¿Va?
Okay, shut off all lights. And here it is, the entry into the jungle.
Ese es nuestro pueblo y eso no debe venir a sacar en cada pueblo son unidos. Cualquier cosa pasa, todo el pueblo se organiza y vienen todos.
He's saying that the town close by, if they see us, it can create problems to all of us.
These labs are the economic engines for the local communities. Without them, there would be little demand for coca leaves. That's why villagers are so protective. We're basically a threat to their livelihood. The chemist has made me promise that I won't reveal the location. I told him it's not a problem. I can barely see my own feet.
I can't see. Can't see. Bien, estoy bien. Gracias. Aquí está. Wow. This is it. It's right here. Wow. ¿Qué es eso? ¿Me puedes explicar?
Están moviendo la coca para sacar toda la droga.
I'm not gonna lie. It's always a rush getting access to these clandestine worlds. The cocaine pit, the starting point for such a storied black market trade, ranks up there. But as the reporter high wears off, I realize that the whole process boils down to brute labor and simple chemistry.
Ese proceso ha empezado hace cuánto tiempo?
3 días.
3 días. So they've been doing this for 3 days, and now this is the final step, which they mix it with salt.
It takes 400 kilos, almost 900 pounds, of coca leaves to make 1 kilo of cocaine. They're soaked in water, acid, and bleach, which draws the drugs out of the leaves.
And now it's ready to be moved on to smaller containers to the lab. Y de aquí va al laboratorio, entonces.
Here, in this makeshift lab, they'll start the purification process.
Y ahora vamos a echar el cemento, es para que le ayude a cortar la droga.
El cemento?
Ajá.
Researchers discovered how to extract cocaine from coca leaves over 150 years ago. And Americans got their first taste of the drug in Coca-Cola back in the 19th century, before it was banned by the federal government in 1914.
It's a really, really intense smell. ¿Es gasolina?
Sí.
Sí.
A la gasolina va a jalar la droga.
To purify cocaine in the middle of the Peruvian jungle, they figured out how to extract the drug using simple household chemicals and a whole lot of gasoline. In this lab, each batch requires 70 gallons.
¿Y de aquí qué se hace?
Vamos a preparar el ácido. Media tapa nomás. Es ácido bien fuerte, es real.
Ammonia, bleach, cement, lime, gasoline. With each toxic additive, the drug becomes more and more concentrated.
So what they're doing is that they're removing the top of it, which is the fuel, and the bottom is a clear sort of liquid, and that's where the drugs remain. So you see it's pretty dark, and that's all the gasoline, and the clear part now underneath. ¿Y eso qué es? So, yeah, that's the drugs right there. So they call that clear liquid, they call it the soup.
Puedes probar la boca. Como anestesia se hace tu boca. ¿Quieres sentirla?
You asked me if I wanted to try it. I said no. Pero puedo tocar o no?
Toca, no tiene nada.
No, no va.
No te va a hacer nada.
Sí, frío. Ooh, check this out. This is amazing.
It's crazy to think that only weeks from now, this jungle soup will disappear up some Americans' nostrils. Now it's time for the final step. A splash of ammonia to solidify the drugs.
Hay que apresurarnos. Ya rápido.
Right. Okay, they have to speed it up. We have to speed it up, guys.
With so many livelihoods depending on this lab, Cich's friend is taking a massive risk giving us a peek behind the curtain. So when the chemist disappears for a moment, I begin to worry.
Ahora tenemos que irnos ahorita.
Okay, ¿por qué?
Porque la gente nos ha visto.
¿Quién los ha visto?
El pueblo. No se está cuidando y no se ha informado que el pueblo se ha enterado y tenemos que salir ya.
Hey guys, we have to go right now.
Vámonos pues. Sí, ya vamos.
Rápido.
Let's go. Okay, so we were spotted by somebody up on the road. They say that we have to get into the car and get out of here. Okay. We have to go fast. No. ¿Están dentro? Are they all inside?
Thankfully, we escape without incident. But the drug's long journey north is only just beginning. It's a new day in the rain. Last night's coca paste has hardened into bricks. The next challenge, getting them out of the valley. The easiest way would be by plane. But the Peruvian military now has permission to shoot down suspected drug flights. Driving the coke out would also work, but the roads here are littered with police checkpoints. So that's given way to the preferred method of transport, in a backpack. The same guys who ran the lab ask us to meet them outside of town at a trailhead that leads up into the Andes.
Copy that. We're following the convoy. We're right behind the other two cars. Aquí? Okay, we're here. Okay. Take my headlamp out.
They're known as mochileros, the Spanish word for backpacker. Their backpacks are filled with bricks and powder. They are the Sherpas of the cocaine world. I was surprised to learn that the chemist from last night is also a mochilero.
¿Es más peligroso esos viajes, transportar la droga, que cocinarla?
Claro, bueno. Transportar es más peligroso.
The elevation, more than 6,000 feet. And I can feel it.
Just started like 15 minutes ago and I'm already exhausted. And I'm not carrying 10 kilos on my back. ¿Qué horas son? Son como las 3:30. Y aquí se para un poquito para regain breath, para descansar. ¿Me puedes decir qué tienes contigo?
Para protección, solamente con eso llevo un
Rifle. ¿Y qué más tienes para protección?
una piña,
¿Espinas lo llaman?
granada. Todos los que trabajan en este tipo de cosas están armados, ¿no?
Rival clans, corrupt cops, thieves of all kinds. It's the Wild West out on the trails. I ask what would happen if they get attacked.
Empezaría la guerra, ¿no? Corre sangre. Por tu vida. Disparas a tus enemigos.
I'm following the cocaine highway from the mountains of Peru to the nightclubs of Miami. It's 4 a.m. and I'm embedded with a group of young men risking their lives to hike 30 kilos out of the Vrain Valley.
So this is the main stuff they take. A can of tuna, saltines, they have a plastic that they use to cover themselves in case it rains, and then alcohol, which they say helps with altitude sickness because they're going high up the mountain. Y aquí está la droga, claro. So this here is worth $900 each a kilo. In the US, once it's processed, it's worth $25,000. ¿Y cuánto de drogas tienes?
Tenemos 25 kilos.
Total.
Sí, todo.
That means these guys are carrying about $750,000 worth of raw cocaine.
Esa es la droga, la piedra.
La piedra. the rock.
A la hora de sacarle la esposa, esto sale.
Sale el polvo de
polvo.
Peruvian cocaine paste, some of the most sought after in the world. The same bricks that Escobar would fly into Colombia to process into powder.
Pues,
Cuidado.
si quieres, puedes probar.
Gracias.
It looks so unassuming. It's hard to imagine the trail of violence left in its wake.
Sí, la cosa más peligrosa que sucedió contigo.
Nos emboscaron.
¿A quién?
Los ladrones.
¿Y cuántos?
Serían unos 10. Así, todos armados. Todo miedo.
¿Que hicieron mal a alguien?
Sí, hasta fallecidos.
¿Amigos tuyos? ¿Cuántos?
Sí. 3 personas.
¿Verdad? ¿Cuántos años tenían esas personas que murieron?
Tenían 20, 19, así nada más.
Jóvenes, ¿eh?
Sí, jóvenes.
¿Son siempre jóvenes que hacen ese trabajo de ustedes?
Sí.
Sí. ¿Cuántos años tenías cuando fuiste la primera vez?
15.
15 años.
Sí.
¿Y tú?
A los 16.
¿Ustedes piensan que van a continuar a hacer esto por cuánto tiempo?
Este año nada más. Ya el próximo año ya no, al estudio.
¿Qué querías estudiar?
Bueno, yo quería ser dentista.
¿Dentista?
Sí, así es.
¿Por qué?
Veía a veces las propagandas en las televisiones que ya las sonrisas, como ya te emocionas tenerlos así, ¿no? Y ese era mi sueño, ¿no?
Entonces, para ser personas felices.
Ver sonreír, ¿no? Claro.
Qué bonito. Okay, they're getting anxious about leaving.
Watching these young men pack, I'm feeling conflicted. I know what they're doing is illegal and that the drug they're carrying has caused millions of families around the world to suffer. But after spending 2 days with them, I can't help but be concerned for their safety. They're just kids. Only a few years older than my own son. It seems so unfair that the lack of options in the frame means they have to risk their lives just so Americans can get their cheap high.
Que se mantienen seguros. Gracias. So they said they're going to walk for 12 more hours, and then rest, and then continue for a day and a half more. Okay, entonces nos vemos el domingo.
Sí, sí.
Okay.
We make plans to meet up at the end of their journey. But I'm worried. Anything could happen on the trail.
En esta cosa vas con tu vida.
As the mochileros rise out of the valley, the price of cocaine rises as well. Theirs is just the first leg of a global distribution network. If the mochileros survive the hike, they will sell to a new owner, who will smuggle the drugs by car into Lima, and then head north. Each time the drugs change hands, the price jumps. Smugglers must account for the real cost of transport and the risk. Plus, each will take their share of the profits. Eventually, the cocaine passes through Ecuador to Colombia, my next stop. At first glance, Turbo looks like any other Caribbean fishing town. But just beneath the surface is another reality.
People say the life in Turbo is partying, it's having sex. You drink hard, you party hard, and you know soon you might be a dead man out on the street. Because nearly everyone here earns a living in a dangerous world.
Well, Turbo is mainly populated by fishermen, but still cocaine business is the main business.
Oliver Schmieg is a German photojournalist who spent decades in Colombia documenting the drug trade.
Mariana, what we have to understand is like mostly drugs going from Colombia to the US, they are passing through Turbo. If you want to run smuggling routes through the ocean, it's like the perfect place. It's very easy to recruit people who are able to drive cargo boats.
What are the chances we could see one of these boats or even ride in one of them?
I'm down here 21 years. I got really access to drug cartels, and it's just a matter of how much they might trust in us.
Oliver works his contacts and directs me to a dock on the edge of town, which I'm not allowed to show on camera. But just as he promised, I'm met by 2 cocaine smugglers in a boat.
¿Por qué son los pescadores mejores a hacer eso?
Por la experiencia. Y como la ley a los pescadores casi no los molesta, no lo detecta.
Y muchos grupos armados. Todos ellos están en servicio de nosotros, porque todos necesitan la banca para sacar las mercancías, para comprar las mercancías. Somos premiadores, ¿no? Somos vuelo charter.
Today, the boats are empty of cargo. The smugglers agree to talk about their work, but they won't let me near the products. The multi-million-dollar payloads they move are too valuable to risk showing them off to foreign journalists.
Entonces tú cuando haces transporte, se viene la droga aquí, ¿la tienes escondida?
Con las redes, ahí va la droga.
Entonces parece que estás pescando, pones pescado en...
Sí.
Pero en verdad...
Es droga.
Cocaína.
Cocaína.
¿Por qué se transportan las drogas en esas pangas así? ¿Por qué?
Es más rápida, porque se desliza por el agua. Eso es una máquina.
Es de fibra. Tampoco detecta uno cuando uno está mojado.
Smugglers use these low-tech fiberglass boats to outmaneuver the Colombian military and its ally, the U.S. Coast Guard. Radar waves, which easily detect metals, can only get an extremely weak signal off fiberglass, making boats like this practically invisible.
¿Y si vienen las autoridades, qué haces?
¿Qué haces? Comenzamos a tirar la droga al agua. Toda la droga se tira al agua.
¿Y después, para dónde va la droga?
Donde se pierde. Sino que hay muchas veces tiene uno problemas con el dueño de su mercancía y le puede llegar la muerte a uno.
¿Por qué estamos haciendo la entrevista así en el medio del mar?
Esto es una zona que la maneja el clan del Golfo y ellos mantienen gente cuidando todo. Aquí en estos momentos no deben de estar hasta bien.
¿Ahorita?
Claro, que mantienen encaletados. Muchos pesqueros que uno no conoce.
¿Y por eso están nerviosos ustedes?
Esto es lo que estoy haciendo yo aquí, no se puede.
Porque piensas que estás dando...
Infiltración, exactamente. Nos puede matar a todos.
Okay, there's a boat over there. So, okay, it's a fisherman, but they were saying before that if anything, if any boat approaches, that they had to immediately take off their mask and we put the cameras down. And we just say we're doing a show about tourism. Okay, they're not feeling very comfortable. Kiki, vamos a...
Sí, por la pesca. Tampoco se puede confiar de estos pesqueros.
Okay, they're gonna take off their masks.
Ya.
I'm in a boat off the coast of Colombia with 2 very nervous cocaine smugglers. They were spooked by some passing fishermen, so they're taking me into deeper waters where they say it's safer to speak.
So he was saying that all these fishermen, everyone here basically works for the clan. So if they see him talking to us, they'll go inform. And that could be dangerous for them. Si te vean, van a decir a ellos, eso te puede crear problemas.
Problema, la muerte. Allá con esa gente no... Muerte segura.
The Clan del Golfo is Colombia's largest and most powerful drug cartel, made up of mostly hardened paramilitary fighters and wanted war criminals.
How violent exactly is the Clan del Golfo?
Well, I mean, you have to be quite careful. Obviously, you're dealing with criminals at the end of the day. So, like 1.5 years ago, they just shut down the whole village. So they're quite powerful. Like a kind of super cartel. It might be even more powerful than groups in Mexico, for example.
Wow.
I know that getting access to cartel leadership is a bigger ask. For days, it didn't look like it was going to happen. And then, out of nowhere, we got the green light.
We just made the first right, guys. We're all together, let's go.
In the car ahead of us is one of the Clan del Golfo's top commanders in this region.
We have no idea where we're going, but we're following the commander. So there are a couple of militares?
Sí.
Soldiers right up here. And there's a cop up there too. Okay, what the No hay problema? Okay.
But with the military everywhere, we're all a bit on edge.
Let's try to get in very quickly here.
Okay.
Please.
This is it. It's a little ranch house. Okay. One, two. Can you hear me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, okay.
Even though the commander and his bodyguard trust Oliver, this is the first time we've met, and they're skeptical.
No, no te preocupes. Tienes que confiar en nosotros. Mira.
I show him some photos of my past work and hope that will convince him that I'm not law enforcement. They eventually agree to the interview.
Okay. Entonces dime, ¿cuántas personas controlas tú?
Yo controlo 300 personas.
Son muchas, entonces.
Sí, siempre.
¿Cuánto grande es el Clan del Golfo aquí en Colombia?
Porque por el lado que yo estoy, habemos 2.500 hombres.
In the traditional business world, he might be considered a VP of operations. He's helping to manage a complicated global criminal network out of a farmhouse in the Colombian countryside.
¿Cuánto imaginas que se mueve de cocaína aquí?
No sé, ¿como cuánto me voy a
¿Cada mes? ¿Cada año?
Cada semana.
1,000 cada semana de cocaína se mueve solo por...
That's a weekly shipment of cocaine worth $25 million on the streets of Miami.
¿Quién controla el grupo?
El que controla todos los grupos de nosotros se llama Otoño.
Soy Dairo Antonio Uso Gadaví, comandante general de la Autodefensa Gaitanista de Colombia, AGC.
The Clan del Golfo's top commander, Otoniel, is Colombia's public enemy #1, with a $5 million bounty on his head. He's notorious for assassinating government officials and ordering the detonation of a grenade in the middle of a nightclub. He demands complete loyalty from his soldiers.
Hacer cosas que tú no quieres, que tu corazón no te nace, en tu mente nada. Tienes que hacerlo porque es una orden. Y si no lo hace uno, lo ejecutan. Y yo no quiero que me ejecuten, yo quiero vivir.
As we talk, I begin to realize that even when you're near the top of the cartel food chain, safety is no guarantee.
Porque así como nosotros podemos llegar aquí, así mismo que dan de cuenta a esa gente, nos pueden matar. Porque por una información, cualquiera puede estar pendiente aquí y estoy mal informado.
Y entonces se
si trae peligro para ustedes, ¿por qué decirán?
O sea, nosotros estamos aquí porque, o sea, que nosotros estamos cansados de la guerra. O sea, y creo que también conoce el país, el mundo, lo que nosotros estamos viviendo. Yo tengo una niña de 4 añitos. Y creo que ya queremos terminar la educación, queremos una vida libre, una vez hubiera peligro del gobierno, hubiera peligro que la misma gente lo vaya a matar a uno, hubiera esto. Empezar como una nueva vida, puede decir.
Empezar una nueva vida.
Sí. La guerra en el país, en el mundo, es por el medio de la cocaína. Por eso es que está este mundo así en la guerra. Porque todos quieren comer algo.
In the last few years, cocaine trafficking in Colombia has reached record levels. From what these men tell me, this rise has been anything but glamorous. Yet, the country is the distribution center for the global cocaine trade. From here, roughly half the supply is shipped to Europe, Africa, Asia, and Australia. The other half will end up in the United States. That's if smugglers can evade these guys.
We just spotted a northbound vessel heading from the south in a known drug trafficking area. Usually with a vessel that size, over 40 feet, has cabins, spaces that you could actually hide large amount of narcotics. We're gonna board a vessel that is suspected of narcotic smuggling. You're gonna encounter a master. He may or may not be armed. Watch out for each other. Your job, gain compliance, however means necessary.
In the last 5 years, the U.S. Coast Guard has seized a record amount of cocaine at sea.
We're here today to offload 14,200 pounds.
Load 11 tons, 20 metric tons.
Of pure uncut cocaine worth over $190 million.
The drug trafficking organizations are creative and they're always looking for ways to elude detection. That could be a go-fast vessel, that could be a low-profile vessel, that could be a semi-submersible, that could be a fully submersible, that could be legitimate commercial traffic.
Get the vessel, starboard bow. We're gonna scramble the boarding team together, get them on the small boat to go over and investigate, see what's going on. Just not enough to figure out what's actually physically going on until you put boots on deck.
The most dangerous part of an officer's job when they board what they suspect is a drug-running boat.
Reports have shown that there are packages on deck. Almost wrong.
Smugglers in this situation have a difficult choice. Abandon their cargo and face the cartel's wrath, or try to outrun the red, white, and blue.
U.S. Coast Guard, let me see your hands!
Without reaching for touching, you got any weapons on board? All right, we're gonna come on board and do an inspection of your vessel, make sure you guys are in compliance with all federal rules and regulations for a vessel this size.
141 miles from Miami, the Coast Guard has intercepted a suspected smuggling boat.
Boarding is 006-20.
The more traditional drug smuggling routes in the Caribbean are having an uptick in activity. You have non-stop boat traffic, and some of them could be legitimately fishing, but also have drugs hidden on board.
Cocaine accounts for 94% of all narcotics seized at sea.
After the boarding, we discovered that the vessel was charter for hire, just in a suspicious area. Everybody on board was compliant, and it's the best outcome you could have in a situation when you're talking about safety.
No drugs are found. The Coast Guard moves on. Catching drug runners on the high seas is an elusive game of cat and mouse.
We're operating in an area larger than the continental United States. Now imagine you have 3 or 4 police cars patrolling the continental United States. That's essentially what the Coast Guard with our ships is doing.
The bus out here, it's just pivotal before those drugs make it towards the U.S. and can be dispersed throughout the different states.
With such a large area to patrol, it's impossible to catch them all.
In all the efforts every day during the mission, we only get 10% of known drugs that are being moved towards the United States.
The remaining 90% of cocaine slips past undetected, heading to Miami under the cover of darkness. "40 years after cocaine built this skyline, the drug money is still pouring in. This convertible is a tribute to my childhood crushes, Crockett and Tubbs. As I cruise towards South Beach to meet a coke dealer, I'm actually thinking back to the final episode of Miami Vice, when they decide to turn in their badges because they realize that the war on drugs is unwinnable. After 3,000 miles on the cocaine highway, I'd be lying if I said I didn't wonder the same.
Do you have some of the stuff you sell with you?
I have a little something here.
You have some in your pocket?
Yeah, I brought a couple bags with me. It just looks like regular powder. It's just a couple bags and keep it there, you know?
So it looks like a cigar case.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I keep it in, you know? It's a little more inconspicuous. The way I make most of my money is like $20 bags.
Mm-hmm.
I'll come to South Beach and I'll sell a $20 bag for $40 and just multiply. That's all. On a good day, I'll get 2 ounces for about $2,000.
And if you sell it all, how much money can you make?
About 5,000, almost 6.
How long does it take you to sell that?
That'll be gone in 3 days.
So you can make $3,000 in 3 days, essentially $1,000 a day.
Yeah, about that.
Is it pure cocaine that you sell? I mean,
it's all right, yeah. It'll keep people up for days at a time, for sure. South Beach loves it. In the clubs, everybody, you know. South Beach is cocaine. And this year, in this generation, that's what everybody wants. Everybody loves to party. They come to Miami, they want to party in the party city. That's what it's all about.
It's just after midnight, and the dealer agrees to let me watch him work. But only if I play by his rules.
So we can't have our cameras out there, and the only way he agreed for us to film this was just we'd stay in the car and we'd film it from here. How do you go about selling it?
You just gotta be low-key. You gotta be ahead of your game, you know? Because people try to set you up, it's different stuff, yeah. You gotta be prepared for sure. Sometimes when I deal with my weight, you know, I have to bring a pistol with me, stuff like that, because people try to rob you.
What kind do you have?
A 357 Magnum with a 6-inch barrel. It's one of my favorites.
Have you used it?
No, I wouldn't want to comment on that.
Okay, he just got a phone call. And he's walking somewhere. Oh, and then he just went in there somewhere.
I do mostly everything right now just through text messages. I have like a burner phone, like an untraceable phone.
Okay, he's walking this way. So I'm just gonna check on him, see what's up.
That was it. She bought a $500,000, $40.
Right there inside the pizza place?
Yeah, well, bathroom, yeah.
You just went into the bathroom, gave her, and she gave you the money, and that was it?
That's it. She could have bought 2, but you know, on South Beach it goes for double, so
right.
Gotta make that profit.
How many people do you sell to in a week, more or less, you think?
In a week? I'd say at least 75 people, maybe.
Wow, that's a lot.
Product sells itself.
Aren't you afraid of getting caught?
I mean, now I am because, yeah, I have a family and stuff like that, but still gotta feed them, you know what I'm saying? Gotta take care of the family. By any means necessary, that's all. It's a small sacrifice, right? I keep a little bail money to the side. I'll be all right, I'm ready for whatever happens.
Very few people know the journey a kilo of cocaine makes to get to the United States, or the hands that it touches along the way. But the path it follows from beginning to end is shaped by simple economics. That's as clear on the streets of Miami as it is on the boats of Colombia or the trails of Peru.
Aquí están. They're here.
Back in the frame, the chemist and the would-be dentist have just made their drop. Another 30 kilos are headed north.
¿Dónde están los otros?
El otro le agarró fiebre, se ha regresado.
¿Y sabes si llegó?
Aún no, todavía no. Así es en este trabajo. Vas con tu vida, cualquier cosa pasa, te quedas.
¿Cuándo piensas que vas a hacer eso de nuevo la próxima vez?
15 días.
¿Dentro de 15 días vas a hacer eso de nuevo?
Yo me dedico a eso nomás.
Así pasaré mi vida hasta recolectar plata y
serviremos así caer en cocaína. La cocaína nunca se va a acabar. Nunca se va a acabar. Se acaba y se acaba el mundo, la única forma.
Más, todavía más, continúo. I can see somebody. Okay, so this is our welcoming committee.
Did you see him? He blessed himself. ¿Por qué te bendiciste?
Porque pocos salen de aquí.
Five years ago, almost no one had heard of it. Today, it's a household name. Fentanyl.
Aquí, ¿cómo lo llaman al fentanil?
Diablito.
Porque peligroso.
Sí, bastante mal.
In the US, fentanyl is helping drive overdose deaths to record highs.
It's wiping out a generation.
While in Mexico, it's disrupting the drug trade in ways not seen in generations.
La revolución de este negocio fueron los sintéticos.
But few people understand how the cartels are getting their hands on the chemicals necessary to make fentanyl, or what the fallout will be if they continue to churn these raw ingredients into more deadly pills and powders.
¿Y el color? Ahora batalla para venderla.
Por esa que estás haciendo ahorita, ¿para dónde va?
O directamente a la frontera, Estados Unidos.
From Mexico's cartel country to the border and into American communities.
Whoa.
I'm going deep inside the fentanyl pipeline to see exactly how it's fueling the most devastating drug epidemic in U.S. history.
Tú sabes lo que estás haciendo aquí, que estás distribuyendo, que está matando personas en Estados Unidos.
Por eso hay mucha demanda, porque está matando muchísimas personas.
Car 1, Echo response. 199 on the ramp for an overdose. Cardiac arrest.
Okay, received.
Like many first responders across New England, the Manchester Fire Department handles far more overdoses than fires.
So it says it's a 26-year-old female overdose, not conscious, turning blue.
New Hampshire has one of the highest rates of opioid-related deaths in the country.
Looks like we're the first ones here.
Yeah, we're it.
The chief is in there trying to revive this patient. I got to see inside. There was a woman on the floor. It was an overdose. She was overdosing.
Heroin may kill. Fentanyl will kill. They took him from us.
I first reported on fentanyl in 2015, when most Americans had never even heard of the drug.
Another overdose.
What I witnessed was shocking.
And this is what they're finding in a lot of these overdose sites.
Fentanyl is 50 times stronger than heroin and killed 20,000 people the following year. Today, the situation is even worse.
It's like playing Russian roulette with a completely loaded gun. You're going to die. And it could be the first time you pull the trigger. But every chamber is full. And how, you want to take a 90% chance that you're going to succumb to that in seconds or minutes? That is mind-boggling.
Yo, come on, get up, man. Come on, get up. Come on, get up. Come on, get up, buddy.
What do you think needs to happen for this to end? Certainly less drugs on the streets, right? Less
Well,
drugs
that
entering the
doesn't.
United States.
That doesn't solve anything.
You don't think so?
They just make more. They're not stopping. They're not slowing down. It's a national crisis.
To understand why fentanyl is more prolific, potent, and killing more people than ever, I have to go to the source: the Mexican cartels.
It's go time. Our contact sent us a location of where to meet them. It's at a port on a coast close by. It's about 20 minutes away from where we are right now.
Fentanyl is the most dangerous drug in America, and much of it comes from right here in Sinaloa, Mexico.
Hey guys, what's happening?
So our contact got a call that they need to deliver the package quickly. So a heads up that we need to be with the cameras ready. And we don't know how much of this we'll be able to document.
Oh my God, okay, we're trying to get there as fast as possible.
We've been in town less than 24 hours, and already my cartel contact has gotten us a lead on the arrival of a new shipment.
So that's one of the things, when you're following a real shipment and supply of drugs, is that they're not going to wait around for us before it goes to the next location. So just crossing our fingers and hoping that nothing falls through.
There are two ways fentanyl illegally enters the United States: through black market mail orders from China, or via Mexico's drug cartels, the people I'm trying to meet.
The contacts, they're here. The guy with the black shirt and the straw hat.
Yeah, so it's, that's him right there. They don't want us to show their faces or anything, so just be careful. But this is our guy. Okay, now camera's down so he doesn't see cameras first thing. Hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Todo bien?
Our hope for access comes through. My sources inside the Sinaloa cartel have agreed to show me the critical first step in their fentanyl pipeline.
So they've got this boat ready for us to go out on sea with them. Under the pretense of filming a little fishing expedition, we're actually heading out to film something that has never ever been filmed before. Being taken out to sea by a guy. He's asked us specifically not to even point the camera in his direction. He doesn't want to be filmed at all. And supposedly, we hear that our contacts will be waiting for us somewhere out at sea, and then we'll be told what the plan is.
Fentanyl has been called Mexico's ghost drug because nobody has any idea how much is being produced and imported into the United States. But what's beyond a shred of doubt is its impact.
Hey!
Opioids are now the #1 cause of accidental deaths in the US, killing more people than guns or car crashes.
Yeah, let's lay her down flat. Everybody lay her down flat, okay?
In just a few years, fentanyl has become the most popular synthetic opioid on the streets, and Mexico's cartels have stepped up to supply this demand. But it's a little-known secret that the cartels can't make the drug themselves. They first need to source these potent chemicals from somewhere or someone else.
There's a boat that I think might be the people we're meeting. This boat right ahead with three 3 or 4 guys inside. There are cargo ships all around us. There's a fishing boat right here.
And then we see it.
Oh my Lord.
A row of large plastic barrels floating towards the small tourist boat we've been following. Barrels that have been tossed from the stern of a rust-covered fishing trawler nearby.
There were about 10 barrels, white barrels, that were thrown out to sea.
Packed inside are the potent chemicals the cartels need to create fentanyl.
I mean, it's so crazy. You look at it and it just looks like a totally normal fishing boat. There's hundreds, if not thousands of them around the coast of Mexico. In a way, it's sort of the perfect rhyme because it's so undistinguishable. It would never raise any alarm. ¿Podemos hablar un minuto? Okay, it has to be really quick. So it has to be really quick, guys. They're saying that they don't feel obviously safe here. Lo sé. ¿Y qué tiene dentro de los barriles? What's inside the barrel?
No sabemos el contenido. Sabemos que es un líquido. Es para fabricar droga.
Para hacer fentanil. ¿Y todo ha venido del barco? Sí. ¿Y de dónde ha venido? ¿De un barco de carga, de los grandes? Wow, so they're saying that it was one of these big cargo ships that we see all around us that threw these barrels overseas. Then the fishing boat over here got a GPS location of where to pick them up, picks them up, brings it up, and then there's a meeting point here where these guys come and pick it up and then take it off to land.
Mazatlan is one of Mexico's busiest Pacific ports. And while most of these international container ships are moving legitimate commercial goods, the smugglers tell me that some of the people on board are in business with the Sinaloa cartel, delivering the chemicals they need from Asia or Europe.
Okay. See, okay. They say they have to go because there's the Marines all around us and they're worried. We should definitely keep our distance because we have a boat packed with drugs, and if the Marines come or anything, we don't want to be seen being part of this operation, you know?
Incredibly, one of the cartel's most dangerous drugs is being trafficked in plain sight.
You can see what's happening right behind me. They're unloading the boat one barrel at a time, going to shore. We're in a little port surrounded by other fishing boats. There's actually a tourist boat with about 50 people heading out right now, right next to us.
Earlier, I'd asked my contact if we could follow this shipment from start to finish. The answer was yes, if we can keep up.
We're here. We're coming up. Okay, quick. ¿Ya se fueron? Are they here or they left?
Was loaded from the boat to here in a matter of 15 seconds.
I mean, it was crazy. The whole thing took about 10 seconds, I don't know.
Yeah.
We've been waiting and planning this for months and months.
They peeled out of here. Oh, just like that one.
Oh, it's like a tourist car?
Yes, just like that one.
Oh, wow. So it's these cars that you see all around Mazatlan, which are these open trucks with these benches on the side, and they transport tourists around here. It's sort of these local tourist taxis. Right. And that's where they loaded it.
And that's where they loaded everything.
Mazatlan is a popular resort town, and it seems like the drug smugglers here are using this to their advantage. None of the tourists appear to realize that this is a key staging ground for the cartel's booming fentanyl business. Keeping a low profile is key to a trafficker's survival. Mexican law enforcement is all over the city, and they're just one of many threats.
So what's happening? Why are we rushing?
There was a car back there that looked very suspicious.
My team has re-established contact with the smugglers. But now it seems we're not the only ones pursuing the shipment.
As soon as they saw us, they made a quick U-turn and started following us. I didn't even have time to close my door.
Really?
We had to peel off very quickly. This car had no license plates, and 2 men inside had walkies. contacts here saying that it's a typical sicario book.
So gunmen.
It's most likely gunmen, yes.
I'm hardly surprised. Mexico is being ripped apart by gun violence, as a dozen different cartels vie to control the drug trade.
With 11 containers full of drugs, I'm sure that there's a lot of eyes out there of other people trying to get their hands on it. It's worth a lot of money.
Of course, if we can't lose the people following us, my contacts are going to disappear, along with the fentanyl shipments I'm trying to catch up with.
There was a car back there that looked very suspicious. Like a dark blue Cadillac SUV. Didn't have license plates.
Let's just wait here for a second and see if by any chance we see them pass by us.
I'm pursuing a group of fentanyl smugglers through downtown Mazatlan, but it now appears someone else is pursuing me. It could be the Sinaloa cartel, it could be a rival group, or it could be nothing. Reporting on narcos in Mexico can make you paranoid.
Okay, so it looks like we've lost them. They're not behind us.
It's a relief, but it's also slowed us down. We need to catch up with the shipment we're following.
We've been given access to film where they put these barrels with the fentanyl precursors before they ship them to the labs, but we're just waiting for an exact location. Okay, I think this is it.
The GPS coordinates take us on a 30-minute drive outside of town, to a gated apartment complex.
Okay, here they down. I think we should put cameras down, guys. Sorry, but most important shot right now is inside.
We have to be careful not to reveal the location or identities of our hosts.
We're just following him, our contact.
These apartments are called privadas, quiet residential communities. My contact tells me this privada is controlled by the cartel.
Si se fija, desde la entrada hay un seguridad que está con nosotros, que nomás le hizo una seña y lo dejó pasar. Aquí atrás de mí estamos en un edificio que están con las ventanas tapadas y son los que están allá adentro, nos están viendo. Estamos más seguros que estamos más seguros que el presidente aquí nosotros.
The apartment is being used as a stash house, a temporary way station where the product is safe from cops and competitors. And it's managed by these two men.
Vinieron para acá, la mercancía.
Sí.
¿Y dónde está?
La mercancía está aquí adentro.
Está acá adentro, sí. Podemos verlo. Wow. Son las 11 de que vimos.
Sí, aquí tenemos otros 5 más que llegaron la semana pasada.
You can hear it. It's all liquid inside.
They say the chemicals swishing around inside these barrels will be transported to secret labs further inland, where the cartel's chemists will process them into fentanyl itself.
All this stuff that they have here is worth about $350,000. And they're saying that once it actually gets mixed with the other products and transformed into fentanyl, that it's worth millions and millions of dollars. ¿Sabes de dónde viene todo eso?
Sí, sabemos, a veces creo que todo el líquido puede venir, pero no más hasta ahí.
I've heard the cartels are getting medical-grade pharmaceuticals from outside Mexico. And I want to know where.
Piensas que yo sé que no se puede abrir la caja, pero se puede abrir solo la parte del plástico.
No, es que de hecho nada.
No quieren que se vea.
Nada.
¿De dónde vienes eso?
Nada. Porque los cocineros les tiene que llegar tal y como lo recogimos. Sí.
Pushing further will put these guys in a tough spot with their bosses. Since they won't let me open the packages, I can't implicate a specific country or company.
Today, President Xi and I discuss ways we can stop the lethal flow of poisonous drugs into our countries. A special emphasis will be placed on the new phenomena, fentanyl.
It's a well-known fact that China has thousands of poorly regulated chemical companies pumping out generic drugs and pharmaceutical ingredients every week.
I really wish I could see what's written inside.
Lo que está así por encima sin quitar nada.
Okay, no voy a quitar nada.
Nosotros tenemos que llegar allá, así como la recogimos, llegarla y entregarla allá.
Okay. Entonces, puede crear problemas para ustedes si lo abren.
Sí. Lo mejor es que uno no sepa. Aquí el panteón está lleno de personas que saben de más de.
Trafficking networks are compartmentalized by design.
¿Puedo salir?
You get something from one guy and pass it along to someone else. In between, you do your job and you ask few questions. But this network is nothing if not efficient. My sources tell me it takes as little as 8 days for the chemicals to move from a Pacific Ocean delivery to hidden cartel labs, then north across the US border, and finally onto America's streets.
Come on, get up, man. Come on, get up, buddy.
Nosotros sabemos que hay mucha gente que va muchas veces a perder la vida y ya la que lo consumen por ya es cuestión de la misma persona propia. Que esto no es un trabajo de ayer, es un trabajo de
Fentanyl was first created in Belgium in 1960. It was designed for use in surgery and to treat the most severe forms of pain. Over time, American pharmaceutical companies found a profitable way to market related opioid medications outside hospital settings.
Since I've been on this new pain medication, I have not missed one day of work, and my boss really appreciates that.
Prescriptions surged, and patients were reassured that the risk of addiction was low.
Less than 1% of patients taking opioids actually become addicted.
They were very wrong. As fatal overdoses skyrocketed, doctors made prescription opioids harder to get. Addicts turned to heroin, and the crisis got worse. Then, in 2015, fentanyl emerged on the black market in a big way. Potent, cheap, and readily available on the streets without a prescription. In the US, overdose rates exploded to record highs. But here in Mexico, fentanyl became a boon to the underworld economy. Which is why I've journeyed inland to witness how the cartels transform the precursor chemicals into street-ready drugs. It's happening tonight in an underground lab, where we'll get a glimpse into the future of the Mexican drug trade.
Aquí en Sinaloa, antes era pura heroína, ya no hay más.
De la revolución de este negocio, el cambio fueron los sintéticos. Nosotros producíamos antes chiva blanca y negra de mata. Se le metía fentanyl. Y fue tanta la demanda, la abrieron la caja de Pandora.
Unlike heroin, cocaine, or marijuana, fentanyl doesn't need farmland, or water, or sunshine. It can all be made in an underworld lab like this, by a handful of cartel chemists.
Este producto es la base para la M30.
So this is saying is the base to create the pills, the M30 pills, the Mexican oxy.
M30 pills are imprinted with an M on one side and the number 30 on the other, in an attempt to make them indistinguishable from legitimate oxycodone pills. In just the last 4 years, millions of these cartel-manufactured pills have flooded America's streets.
So he's saying just this little amount here, if we were to ingest this somehow, this amount could kill you immediately. That's how powerful this stuff is. ¿Ponemos las máscaras ahorita?
Sí, ya.
Ahorita. Okay, everybody, we should put the masks on. This is where it starts getting dangerous here.
If these chemists combine the raw materials just right, In a matter of hours, they'll have successfully completed the next step in the process, creating sellable black market fentanyl.
Este es el producto llamado fentanilo puro.
Eso es fentanilo puro.
Este es fentanilo puro.
Ah, this is the pure fentanyl. They mixed all the liquids that come from Asia, a lot of times from China. They mix it and they make this.
Este es el cóctel. Este es el secreto de todo esto. De aquí sacan la heroína sintética y salen los M30. El proceso es la receta de la casa.
De la casa de...
Sí, pues del cártel.
Si no tenemos las máscaras ahorita, ¿qué podría pasar con nosotros?
Mareo, vómito, un cuadro de coma.
Se puede morir.
Sí, puede morir, paro respiratorio.
Like a veteran chef, the chemist tells me his mixtures aren't entirely based on careful measurements, but his own physiological reactions to the chemical process.
El indicador mío es que ya tengo un poco de taquicardia. Eso quiere decir que el producto ya está quedando bien.
¿Verdad? ¿Ya lo sientes?
Sí, ya siento. A mí ya me está colocando y eso quiere decir para mí que ya estamos listos.
This is so crazy. Look at this stuff.
Ácido clorhídrico mezclado con ácido tartárico.
I'm hoping, really hoping this guy knows what he's doing here.
Aquí empieza a excitarse la molécula.
I'm starting to think my team and I should get the hell out of here. Outlaw narco-chemists accidentally kill themselves all the time.
This is so nuts.
Vale, ahorita, no, dejen terminar.
¿Ustedes saben lo que están haciendo?
El producto está bien trabajado. Entonces esto ya se puede adicionar.
I'm in the Sinaloan countryside. I can't disclose where exactly. In an underground lab with a cartel chemist who's perfecting his latest shipments of fentanyl.
¿No te gustaba la química en la escuela?
Soy ingeniero bioquímico.
¿Tú eres ingeniero químico? Por eso conoces todo eso.
Turns out, he's a bit like a Mexican Walter White. He runs a legitimate business by day, but for the past 4 years, he's been moonlighting for the Sinaloa cartel.
So this is the pure fentanyl that they're mixing with the rest.
Esta es la gallinita de los huevos de oro para hacer M30. Porque esa porción pequeña podemos sacar hasta 400 pastillas.
Once the paste dries and the room clears of deadly fumes, I'm told it's okay to take off our masks.
Esta es la sustancia cruda base de las pastillas M30.
Now that the chemical ingredients are properly balanced, it's time to craft the fake M30 pills. Each one designed to mimic the look of Oxycontin, the most popular painkiller in America.
Entonces aquí lo que hacemos es clonarla. Esta es una hechiza. Tiene que tener conciencia de que este producto tiene que ser ingerible. Si la dejo en un estado puro, probablemente suceda que la persona quede tan colocada. Eso corre el riesgo. Parálisis, esquizofrenia. Eso necesita una locura. Si tienes una persona ya no lúcida, pues ya no es un cliente potencial. Entonces, para que no genere una explosión o un daño colateral al cerebro, le vamos a meter anestesia. Le vamos a meter, en este caso, gilocaína para caballo. Que se preocupa más los patrones en que la pastilla tenga ese efecto de necesidad al día siguiente o al rato de consumir más, pues.
Maybe, but that's not what I've seen on America's streets.
Tú sabes que lo que estás haciendo está matando millares de personas en Estados Unidos, ¿lo sabes?
Cuando yo saco un producto y lo mando, el sello mío va garantizado que no va a pasar nada.
¿Pero cómo hace a saber?
En el proceso mío va marcada la M30 con una marca de nuestro cártel. Entonces, si esa mata a alguien es porque alguien adulteró esa pastilla.
It's clear that nothing is going to stop the process tonight, and all that's left is to press the paste into pills. The chemist tells me he makes $100 for every 20,000 pills, which means that on any given night, he can make a few $1,000s.
Se termina hasta, tenemos que dar proceso a la madrugada hasta que salga.
Pero entonces todo el fentanilo que haces tú, todas las drogas aquí, son para los Estados Unidos.
Son los Estados Unidos. No dejamos nada que México.
A sense of dread follows me north. Soon, these pills will find their way into the hands of American users. And we know what happens then.
Oh my God.
But down here, among Mexico's narco-traffickers, fentanyl isn't a deadly opioid. It's an opportunity.
Ya no sirve la amapola, ya no sirve la marihuana. Trabajar derecho siembras más y no te sirve. Está muy cara la luz, muy cara el agua, muy cara la comida ya.
Y el fentanil paga todo eso.
Así es.
The ugly truth is that fentanyl supports an incredibly lucrative underworld economy. That means jobs for cartel accountants, couriers, and chemists, and for those who undertake one of the most dangerous roles in the pipeline, prepping the drugs for the final crossing into the United States. Just south of the US-Mexican border, I've been granted access to film with these so-called packers. But we have to move fast. They're scheduled to smuggle another fentanyl load across tonight.
So they just sent us a location. Looks like it's about 7 miles from the US border. Definitely looks like we enter the rough part of town. So let's just be discreet. We're here. This is it. ¿Puede entrar?
Profe. Aquí pues, no llega mucha visita con nosotros. Aquí de hecho en tu mano está prohibido tener mucha gente. Aquí constantemente dan patrullajes. Policía estatal, municipal, federal, soldados.
Our hosts are tense, for good reason. Right now, they're in possession of 5 kilos of fentanyl. That's worth millions of dollars on the streets of America.
Wow. Esta droga aquí no se puede quedar.
¿Por qué?
Porque muchas personas arriesgamos la vida.
They tell me there are cops and competitors everywhere in Mexico, many willing to kill, to corner the fentanyl marketplace.
Cuando compramos todo esto, porque yo no puedo llegar comprando todo a un lugar. Todo entonces, pues.
Using ordinary household ingredients, these packers will make 5 kilos of fentanyl invisible to the eyes of the law. And I'm about to see how it's done. I'm 7 miles south of the US-Mexico border, about to witness how the Sinaloa cartel smuggles 5 kilos of fentanyl into the United States. Despite the green light I've been given, the packers prepping the shipment are extremely anxious.
Tú estás ansioso, ¿eh? Tú quieres hacerlo. So he's talking, and I can see this guy's getting really nervous and telling him to speed up because he says the person that's going to take it across the border is arriving any moment, and he wants to make sure that he can get all of this out of this house as soon as possible.
Vamos al inicio, el primer paso. Tengo perros en aduanas, en almacenes.
He's putting coffee on it right now.
Esto viene siendo para matar el humo. El perro se va a confundir.
I'm watching a shadowy game of cat and mouse. In less than an hour, these drugs are headed to the most frequently crossed and one of the most heavily patrolled borders in the world. Last year, U.S. Customs and Border Protection seized more than a ton of fentanyl. And yet, these packers plan on foiling thousands of highly trained agents and billions of dollars of surveillance technology with little more than homemade ingenuity.
He has other products here. He has mustard. He has... ¿Esto qué es?
Suéter.
Softener, laundry softener. And all this is to avoid any sort of smell. So crazy.
Coffee, fabric softener, and mustard. There's simply no way to describe the smell. But the one thing it doesn't smell like is drugs. Layer after layer. Every coat could mean the difference between failure and profit. But dogs aren't the only concern.
Ese papel me va a evitar los rayos X.
So now they were able to disguise the smell for the dogs, and also for the X-ray machines, they have this carbon paper around it. Esto lo vas a cubrir todo.
The packers tell me they'll make $2,000 for their work tonight, $400 per package. And just like everyone I've met on this journey, they do their job, and then they pass the drugs on to the next link in the supply chain.
Sí, esa persona de los niños no pasa nada.
The girl he's referring to is tonight's driver. In the trafficking world, she's called a drug mule, but I'll call her Beatrice.
¿Y hoy en la noche para dónde vas?
Voy a Los Ángeles.
¿Cómo haces para pasar?
Tomé el pasaporte americano.
¿Tú eres americana?
Sí.
¿Y nunca tuviste problemas?
No. Ven que soy americano, traigo el carro americano. Ninguna pregunta.
Beatrice tells me she's been doing this for a year and makes $3,000 per crossing.
¿Por qué lo hace? ¿Por qué arriesgar?
Como a los 17 empecé a ver la necesidad que tenía mi familia. Me lo ofrecieron y entré.
¿Tú tienes familia?
Estoy embarazada.
¿Verdad? ¿De cuántos meses?
Un mes más o menos.
¿Y eso no te causa más preocupación saber que estás embarazada?
No. Te ven embarazada, te ven mujer y es más fácil.
¿Y sabes lo que estás transportando hoy?
Sí.
¿Qué es?
Es cocaína. No.
¿No tienes ni idea de qué estás?
Yo nomás lo que me dicen y lo procedo.
After we finish speaking, Beatrice agrees to let me follow her to the border.
The car parked in front, that's where all the drugs are stashed. All ready to go up to the U.S. And I think she's about to leave.
Fentanyl trafficking convictions in the U.S. have increased by nearly 5,000% over the past 6 years. And those who are caught are almost always sentenced to prison. Right now, Beatrice has 5 kilos of it hidden in her trunk.
Where the heck is she going? Something's wrong. Oh my God. She's seriously being followed by the police, I'm not even joking. Right? Yeah. Lord, what do we do? I don't think we should go too close. And we need to figure out what the plan is now. We were following her for, 10 seconds, and suddenly we see a police car come out of nowhere. What the? Why? What happened?
Just 2 miles south of the U.S.-Mexico border, the drug mule I've been tracking is pulled over by police. Her trunk is filled with 5 kilos of fentanyl, worth millions of dollars on the street.
And she was stopped by the police over there.
I assume Beatrice is busted. But the cops never open her trunk. And minutes later, she drives off. I catch up with her further down the road.
¿Qué pasó?
Nada más me pidieron mi licencia y mi documento si era la camioneta era mía.
Entonces te vas hoy.
No, no podría manejar. No llego.
Beatrice is shaken, so she decides to stay the night. But the following day, she's at it again. And I'm not far behind.
She has to be super nervous, you know? She's, packing 5 kilos of fentanyl. So it's a very strange feeling because on the one hand, we've met her and you sort of don't want her to get caught, and I'm actually nervous for her. But on the other hand, she has a car packed with drugs that can kill a lot of people in the US.
It's complicated. I know Beatrice has a growing family to provide for. But in all my years reporting on the opioid crisis, it's the parents who lost sons and daughters to overdoses that I remember the most.
Mom, wake up! Come on! Mama!
And I can't help but wonder what they might think as I watch Beatrice attempt to carry a deadly shipment across the border. But this is how a majority of drugs are smuggled into the US, according to the DEA, through legal ports of entry on the southwest border, stashed in passenger vehicles or tractor trailers. And I'm here to witness it for myself.
She was stopped. She's being checked right now. I would say just put the cameras entirely down.
Last night, I watched the cartel packers slather her cargo in coffee, mustard, and fabric softener, all to avoid detection by America's drug-sniffing dogs. As the K9 units approach, I'm about to see if their method actually works.
So they're opening the trunk right now. They're looking under the hood. Yeah. This is a really uncomfortable moment.
And then, just when I'm certain she's busted.
Oh my God. They're letting her go. Yeah, she's just going into her car and leaving. I can't believe it. They just let her go. I can't believe it.
Beatrice agrees to meet up with us a few miles north of the border.
I'm just gonna talk to her real quick. She's right here. Entonces, I cannot believe, no creo que pasaste, que no hubo problemas. Yo pensé, seguro que la van a encontrar y que te vas.
Pues en cuanto subieron a los perros, dije ya valió.
Despite how nerve-wracking crossing the border was, Beatrice tells me she doesn't think she'll ever go to prison.
Él siempre me ha dicho que pasa algo, él siempre va a estar ahí. Y ya, como conocemos a la gente de la policía, es más fácil que yo salga. Por eso también voy más confiada.
¿Gente de la policía dónde? ¿Estados Unidos o México?
Sí, de Estados Unidos. Y de México, pues, todos.
While there's no way for me to confirm this, it's well documented that part of the Sinaloa cartel's strategy is to infiltrate and corrupt America's border agents with lucrative payoffs.
Cero nervios, ir confiando que siempre.
And there she goes, 5 kilos of fentanyl.
When we contacted CBP for comment, they told us, quote, U.S. Customs and Border Protection seized over 750,000 pounds of illegal narcotics in 2019. Our officers remain relentless and are always working to stay one step ahead of the cartels. But with so much demand for drugs and so much money to be made, it's a difficult task. In recent years, there have been almost 200 drug overdose deaths in the US every single day. And fentanyl is the major reason. I'm eager to follow this road to the end, to expose just how easy it is for these traffickers. But I'm also aware the shipment I'm tracking might end up killing someone.
So we were just given this location right next to the 710 freeway here in Los Angeles. It's at the end of a dead-end street. And I think that's actually our woman with the drugs inside her car. There's a guy in an orange jumpsuit with a mask. So it looks like that's where they're doing the deal right here out in the open.
The masked men tell me they're all native Angelinos, American citizens who work directly for the Sinaloa cartel. But like everyone else I've met, they focus on their jobs and ask no questions.
Do you know what's in this packages?
I do not know.
You really don't care what you're
I
transporting?
really don't. As long as it provides me, gotta keep on doing it.
So can you tell me more or less where they're heading?
It's Oklahoma, Texas, Atlanta. This is one of the main distribution areas that we have here. There is a high risk getting caught with it. That's the reason why as soon as we get it, it has to get out rotate.
This is very much like a hot potato where they just wanted to get it out as soon as possible. But it was incredible because you saw she arrived and within under 10 minutes they had managed to take the drugs out of her car, put it in their car, and then they're off. He says he does this every other week, which is crazy.
Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me. Got green RC deployment.
Never have so many people been addicted to such a deadly narcotic. Never has the need for solutions been more urgent. I worry that the fentanyl supply chain seems too big to fail. Too many people benefit, and I've met many of them along my journey, from the chemical companies in Asia to the cartel's chemists. Americans will have to find a way to slow the demand, because the suppliers will always find a faster and more profitable way to deliver the goods.
Pues en un cuarto ya ahorita todo lo que hicimos nosotros. Porque sí, o sea, imagínate, ya no vas a salir de China.
In fact, they tell me the cartels have begun to do just that, by eliminating their Asian suppliers.
No te puedo decir cómo se procesa, pero esta misma sustancia ya aquí en México.
If that's true, the worst may be yet to come for America's opioid epidemic.
30,000 años pasa morir con el fentanil.
Estamos conscientes de eso y por eso la familia primero.
Can you tell me a little bit about your day-to-day? You wake up, and then what happens?
I wake up, make sure my sons are in school, and then drive all over creation, looking at these young, pretty girls. We go anywhere and crack the finger. Anywhere. Bus stations.
Train station. Instagram. Facebook.
County jail. All academics.
First comes the seduction. Then comes the reality.
After a couple of days of drinking and smoking, now you gotta go off the street.
This is a story about pimps, how they work, how they think, and what they'll do to grab their share of the billion-dollar market for illicit sex in America.
Out here, in these streets, you're either a predator or you're a prey. You're either a sheep or you're a wolf. I'm not saying what I do is right, but I'm a wolf out here to survive on these streets, because I'm not gonna be no sheep.
The very first time I ever did it, it was a complete rush. And then you just kind of start to get used to it.
What is it like when you're out there?
It's cold. It's really cold. This is a good amount of clothes. We've seen girls out there in just like a bra and underwear.
In the winter?
In the winter, in the rain. A lot of them can't leave until they're told that they can come back in.
By their pimps?
Yeah, pimps.
Is it dangerous?
Oh, it's extremely dangerous. Vehicles pull up to us that you don't know if they're just gonna roll by and just start shooting at you. Like a rival pimp that you're working for someone and that's technically their enemy. So instead of going after the pimp, they're gonna go after the girls.
How often are you approached by pimps?
Almost every time we're out there.
And you've been doing this for how long?
I've been doing this for around 3 years.
Was it soon after you joined the police department, or?
It was a good chunk of time after.
Michelle, as we'll call her, is one of 2 Oakland police officers who will be going undercover tonight as decoys.
Well, how do you...
We have people very close.
Watching.
Mm-hmm. And we do have our firearms on us also.
Oh, you take a gun with you?
Yeah.
Where?
We make it work.
Sex trafficking has become front-page news recently, thanks to high-profile cases like that of multi-millionaire Jeffrey Epstein.
For several years, Epstein was operating a sex trafficking ring.
Not long ago, sex trafficking was thought to be largely a transnational problem, with criminal networks smuggling undocumented women across borders to work as sex slaves. But there's a far more common variety happening in every U.S. city, big and small, that sees Americans exploiting other Americans. No state reports more cases than California. And by all accounts, Oakland is a hotspot.
Thanks everyone for being here. We're doing a decoy operation today. It's very dangerous for the decoys. Stay out of sight, keep close. If we do arrest a pimp, we're gonna call a Code 3 response for an arrest.
The goal of the operation is to disrupt business around one of California's most notorious prostitution tracks, International Boulevard in East Oakland. It's a place where pimps have long been known to sell underage girls.
You guys used to go after mainly the women working on the streets, and you've since shifted and are now going after the traffickers and the Johns, the demand as well. When did that happen?
October of last year.
Yeah. Just October of last year?
Yeah.
Pretty recent.
Yes,
change.
Pretty recent change. And we want to target what's fueling the demand here in Oakland. We want to go after the exploiters, the ones that are victimizing our young women. So by attacking the demand and making people know that Oakland's not a place that's going to tolerate forcing people into prostitution.
Lieutenant Jimmy Beer is the commander of the Vice Unit and my guide for the evening.
When a John pulls up, they pull up real slow, kind of to check out the girls, see how they look. Window shopping, I hate to say it. Pimp, on the other hand, they want to make it known. They're the big dog in this neighborhood. So they usually swoop up onto the corner really fast. Anything intimidating, like do a burnout and take off at a really high rate of speed.
Got a male Hispanic on foot talking to the girls right now.
Swoop Swinkle on the dude with the bald head.
Hey, for me, just got into a white 80s model Toyota pickup truck.
Yeah, that's it right there, positive ID.
What's happening? You see that?
Yeah, they're arresting him right now.
The decoys move several blocks away and start working on another corner. Within minutes, a car pulls up.
He's hauling ass to get out of here.
That's him. What do you find with the majority of these Johns? What's sort of the profile?
As you see already, it's been like one male Asian, one male Hispanic, one male black. Typically, there'll be a male white next. You know, if I'm going to bet.
And young, old, married, single.
All of that. All of that. Yeah, there's no real profile of a John.
There's a male in a Lexus hanging out the window with a gun.
Oh, I might have a guy pointing guns at the prostitutes.
Quickly, it becomes clear that they could arrest Johns all night long.
You ready, ma'am?
But it's not the Johns they're really after.
We're trying to draw the pimp out, lure him out from behind the shadows, try to get them to actually recruit one of our girls, and then we go after him.
You think they're making more money as pimps than they are if they were selling drugs?
Yes.
Why?
There's more of it. There's more demand. You don't have to buy the product, so I don't have to come out of pocket. I don't have to package it. I'm not being at risk for holding on to it. Renewable product that never expires as long as she's still alive. And if she's alive, she better be making money.
The challenge is actually finding them or getting them.
That's it.
Our fight against human trafficking is one of the great human rights causes of our time, and the United States will continue to lead it.
We will not rest until we've stopped every last human trafficker and liberated every last survivor.
The fight against trafficking seems to be one of the few issues that transcends politics. But all of that attention hides an ugly truth: that busting sex traffickers is extremely difficult, in part because their victims are often afraid to testify.
It's more difficult to solve these cases, I would venture to say, than murder charges.
For these pimps, that means the risk is relatively low, and the profits sky high. A combination that must be irresistible, which is exactly why I want to find one.
I will not stop till I'm filthy rich. I made $1 out of 56. I made the trip over 50 bricks. 22 on me like Emmitt Smith.
My search begins on Instagram. That's where I learned that pimps have their own ecosystem of hashtags.
There's this one, hashtag 304. If you turn around 304, it actually spells hoe. Can't show a lot of these faces, but hashtag game-related, PGO, pimp game on, HGO, which means hoe game on, hashtag IZM, which is like the swagger, more jewelry, more diamonds, this display of wealth and power, these stacks of cash. All of this is just a way to show these women what their lives could be like if they were working for them.
I have no idea if any of these guys are actually pimps or just playing the part. But for some, it certainly feels like their social media feed is the marketing arm of their operation.
Doesn't seem like they're very ashamed or trying to hide what they're doing at all. In fact, they want to show it off.
Over several weeks, I messaged countless guys and a few women asking if any of them would be up for talking. I get mostly silence. Then finally, a breakthrough. I stumble upon a genre of book I didn't know existed, the pimp memoir. That's how I found Mickey Royal. Sure enough, the author of The Pimp Game agrees to meet me at a motel in the heart of South Central Los Angeles. I'm hopeful that Mickey will be the key to finding my way inside his former profession.
How are you?
Right.
Mariana.
Mickey Royal.
Hi, Mickey. So nice to meet you.
Same here, likewise. I didn't really start pimping until I was about 19 or 20. I came from a drug and gang background, so I always thought of that particular life as being weak, you know, because if it didn't involve a pistol, I wasn't interested. But it was something about the allure of it. It just sucks you in, and I fell in love with it.
I know I'm pretty.
The allure of pimping is no secret.
Now I want you to get yourself together and get back out there and get me my money.
From movies to music videos to Seinfeld. Very few underworld figures have gotten as much love from pop culture as the pimp. But I want to know how the business of pimping really works. Mickey offers to take me for a tour of the most infamous track in LA.
Where are we heading? Where are we going?
We're headed to Figueroa. It's referred to as the track, the blade. It's been around since the 60s. We're talking about 95 blocks.
Wow.
95 blocks.
How dangerous is it, do you think?
It's extremely dangerous. You got the tricks you have to worry about. You have upsetting the pimp you have to worry about. Kidnappings, stabbings, shootings, plenty of them. You're talking about a profession where sexual assault and rape are just occupational daily hazards.
So I've lived in Los Angeles for over 10 years, and I know Figueroa, but I've never seen any of this till tonight.
That's why I call it the shadow world. It exists at night and broad daylight. She's working to the right.
Oh, she's wearing a bikini.
Yeah.
It's also freezing. It's 46 degrees outside.
I mean, you gotta understand, if they have pimps or whatever, if they can make extra money by being seen from a distance, they're not even allowed to wear jackets. See how they both were naked? More than likely, they have the same pimp.
Was that a thing where your girls that worked with you dressed the same?
Yeah, because he did a shop for all of them at the same time.
So all these 3 girls have the same shoes. Does that mean that they work for the same pimp?
More than likely.
She was so young. She looked like she was like 15 or something. Did you see that?
Yeah, you'll see a lot of those.
I mean, it's dozens and dozens and dozens of women that we've seen so far in what, about 20 blocks, right?
Right. You should see them on Friday and Saturday night. It's like a concert.
So where would you be? Imagine a girl would be on this corner. Where would you be?
Sitting in the car, not far away, but I would have
watching
my eye
her.
Yeah.
Why?
To make sure she's okay, and I figured that was my job.
And if you had more than one girl, how do you do
You
that?
cruise around. You might sit here for about 10 minutes until she gets a day, see where it goes, and then you cruise up to see this one. You pull up on one, you collect your money, but she's not gonna get any dates while you're sitting there.
We've been circling the same stretch of blocks several times when Mickey gets spooked.
Okay, that's, we gotta go
What happened?
somewhere else. That's it.
Why? What happened?
Well, it's starting to get hot.
What do you mean? What did you?
Once we got made as far as the cameras, what'll happen is they'll start telling everybody what they saw and pointing out the car.
What if we take a ride and take one last trip?
You don't want to do that.
Really?
No, you want to call it a night right now, trust me.
I follow Mickey's advice, but I'm still hopeful he can connect me to an active pimp.
So we've been working on this story for a long time, and it's been really hard to get people to talk to us, especially people who are currently in
Yeah,
the
you
game.
won't get that.
I mean, if you were currently doing it, would you even admit it to us?
You hopping out with the cameras, you're better off pulling guns on me. No. Guns, I'll challenge the camera out to run. No.
Why not?
Because if you want to get away with a crime, it has to be a secret. Simple as that.
After our interview, Mickey pulls me aside. He gives me a name, a number, and a promise. One phone call later, doors begin to open.
Hi, it's Mariana here. How are you? Mickey gave me your number and said that you'd be willing to talk to us. We'd love to meet with you at a place somewhere in Inglewood if you're available.
Yes.
Okay, and you're bringing some people that work with you, right?
Right.
That hotel, is that the place you want to meet?
Right.
Have you worked out of there?
Yeah.
So we've rented this motel room. It's a place that they said they've worked at before. We were supposed to meet here an hour ago. They still haven't showed up, but we're hoping they will. It's been really hard to get people to talk to us, so it sounded really positive, and I'm hoping that they'll show up tonight. Oh, hi.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Mariana. How are you?
I'm fine.
Come on in. Thanks for meeting us here. Because I know you guys want us to discuss your identity, so we actually got all these masks here for you.
What's more of me?
That's a really pretty one. It's funny because when I looked at them and I was trying to figure out which one I would wear if it was me, I changed my mind about 3 times.
Right. Perfect. Or you want the hair over this? Like this.
So we're very close to Figueroa, which is one of the most famous tracks or blades in Los Angeles. Have you guys ever been out there?
I have. Yes.
Do you think that a lot of the women that are working out on the blade, the track, they all have pimps?
I say 80% of them do. I'll say yeah.
Did you have a pimp?
When I first started out, no, I was just, hey, let's get away. You know what I mean? But I did try it out. Like, guys wanted me to be they hoe. And, I would hang around them or kick it with their female and see how their environment was, and it just wasn't for me. It was a lot of violence, it was a lot of jealousy. I didn't see where the money was going.
Why do you think other women do it then?
Daddy issues. Seeking attention, might have been molested, might feel that they need to be valued by a man and not really know they value for themselves.
There's a lot of people that grow up in broken homes. Not having that father figure is like a huge part in a young girl's life. When you don't seek and get that love that you deserve, it pushes you to a whole nother state that you can't really explain or describe. You just feel the pain.
Do you think that the pimps know that and they exploit that? They go after those...
That's how they abuse you. That's how they get you to never leave. And that's why most girls that's my age, they get stuck. And they live like that for a very long time.
The more we talk, the more I realize how many different ways women are pulled onto the streets. This is a woman we'll call B. Prostitution is not her day job, just something she does after her shifts as a nurse.
And for school. So it was like, I'm doing it anyway. Why not? I mean, I'm not afraid. I'm not ashamed of it. So it's like, it ain't no need to be ashamed. Everybody having sex. Don't you ever fantasize about being a stripper?
Yeah, see, this is the part where I'm not sure if I should be nodding or not.
Exactly.
Honey says she works primarily with clients from the business world.
I'm very high price. I mean, I make a lot of money doing what I'm doing.
She says she can make as much as $20,000 a week, but all that money comes at a high personal cost.
So I had a friend, and her father, he was a drug dealer and a pimp. My mother was never around, so I always spent a lot of time at her house. And her dad, he would always hit on me and touch me, but I never told anyone I didn't have anyone around, so.
How old were you?
I was 12.
I'm sorry if I'm gonna ask you this, and tell me if you don't want to answer, or if you don't even want the question, we can take it out, but did he rape you?
Yes, he did.
When you were 12?
Yes.
And then how did it progress from there?
He told me, it's okay. If you do it for me, I'm not gonna judge you. No one's gonna judge you. Don't tell anybody. So, I always kept it a secret. No one ever knew what I did.
And how did he convince you that you should be selling your body out to other men?
I didn't have a mother and a father around, so I grew up thinking that it was okay, to sell my body. I was young. I was naive. You tell me it's okay, and I just believed you.
He was a pimp?
Yes.
He had several women working for him?
Yes.
How many?
About 5 of us.
All of them as young as you?
Yeah.
So they were all between 12?
12 to 15. No older than that.
After 4 years, Honey finally escaped.
Did he do any time in jail or anything?
No, I didn't press any charges, nothing like that. I just wanted to get away.
One of the things that we hear a lot is how women that have pimps, even when they're abusive, they just don't want to talk to the police. They don't want to testify. They just want to leave that behind.
Snitches get stitches, so if you tell, people will put a bounty on your head and they don't care how much it costs.
Right. That's what they say.
Kalinga.
Meaning that they will beat you up if you talk.
And they'll do it. They'll make sure it get done.
Once you in it, it's hard to escape. It's always gonna come back to you. Once you turn a good girl bad, it's hard to turn it back good.
After the interview, Nina tells me she knows everyone on the streets, pimps included. She makes some introductions, I trade some texts, and it looks like it's all about to happen, until it doesn't.
We've been in 3 different locations so far, just today alone, waiting for these pimps to show up. They tell us they're coming, they tell us they're on their way, we get everything set up, and we wait and wait and wait, and then last minute, they either don't show up or they text us telling us they can't come, or they're, unsure whether we're police and they don't feel comfortable. He just failed. He's not coming anymore. We actually just got a text from this one guy who says he's on 54th and Western. He's on the corner. He told us he'd be waiting for us. We have no idea what we're walking into, who we're meeting with exactly, but we're hoping that at least there's somebody there.
The process is frustrating. I've had easier times getting access to gun runners and drug lords. But I'm realizing this black market is different and darker.
Okay. So this is it. We're in a parking lot of a laundromat. This is where he told us to meet him.
No surprise, he's not there.
It could be that he's just looking at us from somewhere and checking us out to make sure that we're not cops. In which case, it might be a good idea if I get out of the car and just go walk around and tell him I'm the woman with the red vest or something. What's that? No, taking pictures of me. They're filming me. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think camera's down for now because they're getting more and more upset. Yeah. Okay, come around the corner to 1609. Da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Okay, we've got an address. Let's see what happens now.
From Western, we turn into a residential neighborhood and make our way to the address. Finally, after months of trying, here I am, looking into the dark shades of a working pimp. After months of trying, I'm finally face to face with a working pimp. He wants me to call him Chill. And this is his business partner, Lady P.
I know that when we were texting back and forth, you didn't want to give us the right address immediately, so you weren't sure if we were police, essentially.
Absolutely. Because of the business that we're in, if you're even claiming that you're in this part of the business, they've changed. So now, instead of just some regular where pimping is pimping, no, what we're doing now is considered human trafficking. And that is completely different from what pimping is.
So tell me, what is pimping about?
It's about choice. They just see the flash, they see the gold, they see the money, they see the cars. Every time you turn on the radio, what do you hear? Oh, it's some rapper dude talking about how he got a bunch of bitches and all this other. So what do they want? They want that rapper dude. They see the Ferrari, the Lamborghini, all that. They want that. What's next to a rapper? A pimp. Why not? He can get you everything you want. Easy. Drugs, sex, rock and roll. That's what it is.
That may be the way pimps like Chill view the lifestyle. But I imagine the reality is far more complicated for the women working for him.
How do you find the girls?
Clubs, they see us hanging out. We're in the VIP section and we're drinking and we're having fun. Of course they don't want to be sitting over there with normal people. They want to come to the VIP. Hey girl, you want to come back with us?
Who says that?
I do. They come back. They see the glitz, the glamour, the gold, the cars, bikes. They want to smoke weed, do powder, ecstasy. We have all that around. A couple of days after they've been there, okay, now you got to come up with some money.
Bills got to get paid. You got a choice at that point. You can say, I'm cool, that I'm out. 99.9% of the time, these young gonna be like, hey, I got weed, I got ecstasy, I got everything I want, and I can get some money out of it. Why not?
Is it really that high, like that amount of girl? Like the
It's
majority?
not like you're going out looking for the classiest of females. You know, you with the ones that are turned up.
Or keep looking over at us.
Keeps looking over, you can tell.
Just keep on eyeing and watching, and she done already been spotted. Don't forget, here, I already just spotted her. It's a wrap. And at that point, the choice is made.
Chill says that his women don't work out on the streets. They find their customers online where they can charge a higher price.
So when people call you a sex trafficker or a human trafficker, what do you think of that?
I think it's if you go talk to my bitches and ask them what they think, am I sex trafficking? They'll be like, yeah, he's trafficking me to Miami, to Vegas, to Florida.
Do you do that? Do you transport them?
I don't transport them. I buy them a ticket. Here, go to the airport, get on a plane, see ya. When they come back, I'm gonna get a hit on my Cash App and it's gonna be like, cha-ching.
It's shocking how little is known about the underground sex economy. One recent study estimates that illicit sex in the US brings in $5.7 billion a year through street prostitution, online escort services, residential brothels, and massage parlors. But there's no reliable data about how many pimps and traffickers are operating, or how many victims may be out there. It's rare to get an inside look at a pimp's operation, which is why I want to see others. Over the next week, I connect with 2 more pimps who are currently in the game. At a cheap motel in Inglewood, I meet Jackknife. And after a bit of convincing, I sit down with Gotti late night at a bar near the airport.
So these women, that you meet them on the street, or how do you recruit them? How do you get them to work?
On the street 9 times out of 10. Sometimes Instagram, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes Facebook, it depends.
Guess what? You can go anywhere and crack a female. Anywhere.
What do you say to them?
How you doing, beautiful? You mind if I hang out with you while you shop and we could talk and get to know each other? We hang out, become friends, and talk about how we can make money. And if they willing to go along with the situation, we go do this.
You butter them up, or?
Of course I butter them up. I gotta tell them they're pretty so they can get out there and get this money. They gotta be out here with a big head so they can get out there and get this bread.
Is there a particular kind of girl that you're looking for?
Somebody that's not showing fear, ready to go.
An easy target would be, let's say, Jan Brady. If you're familiar with the Brady one, she's the middle child, and she's the one that gets the least amount of attention. She's the one that feels the most unattractive. I would show Jan the majority of the attention and point out how Jan is much prettier than her sister, Marcia. And Jan, when she leaves my presence, she goes back to being ugly in that house. So her self-esteem, her sense of empowerment, her will to be number one, or the fact that she is number one, is only present when I'm around. So she's gonna be around me more and more.
I try to pin them down on the financials of their business, but they're evasive. Each admits to working a certain number of women.
I'd say about 7.
6 is the lowest, 8 or 9 at the most.
Right now I got 4.
These 4 girls work full-time for you?
Yes, they're only for me.
And each takes a certain percentage of the earnings.
Do they keep the majority, or do you guys keep the majority?
Keep the majority.
You guys keep the majority?
Yeah. If I'm taking care of you, I have to keep the majority.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me what the percentage is? Is it a higher percentage for them or for you?
For me.
It's my money, it's our money. This is an our thing. So yeah, of course you're gonna get some money, I'm gonna break you off something, or I'm gonna go buy you something or whatever, but you ain't gonna get no money every single time.
It's crazy to me. A woman sells her body, and these pimps feel entitled to the profits. And we're talking serious money here. A Justice Department study found that pimps can make between $5,000 and $30,000 a week. It's no surprise how some of them maintain control.
Have you ever beat your women?
Next question.
Take that as a yes, then. What leads a person to do that? What led you?
My case, money was stolen.
If they get out of line, if they look like they finna say something stupid, slapped up, you might get punched up, whatever. Might cut you, whatever.
Have you done that?
Me, female ran away once or twice. I cut the bottom of her foot.
You cut with a knife?
The bottom of her foot, not with no knife. I cut the bottom of her foot with a razor.
With a razor?
What is you running away for? What is you doing? You got my money and all that? What you trying to do, bribe me? No, what is you doing? When I did that, that let all the bitches know. So I ain't have to do that no more.
So if they want to leave, you don't let them leave?
They can leave. They can leave. Because I'm not holding you at gunpoint.
You're not, but you've admitted to...
And I don't have you handcuffed.
You say it's a choice for them, but...
Yes.
After you just told me what you did, I'm sure they're scared to death of leaving.
She can still leave, I told her. I just told her, if you leave, you gonna remember me, though.
Is she still with you?
Yeah, she's still with me.
She still works for you?
To this day. You understand? It's either you gonna with me or you not.
So you are...
Hold on.
Go ahead.
There's pimps out here doing way worse than that. Killing bitches. Out here kidnapping bitches. For real. Time up. Nah, you can't go nowhere against your will. Bitch, don't talk to your family or none of that. It's bad out here.
The reality is bleak and all too common. But there are people out there trying to make a difference.
Be careful with the cameras because he's right in front of us.
I'm in Los Angeles, not that far from where I live, trying to understand how pimps justify what they do.
I think people listening to this would say that what you're doing is exploiting women when they're at their worst of their worst. You either stay and you have a place to stay and you go out on the streets and sell your body, or we're gonna kick you out. Isn't that an exploitation?
We're not out there beating on these females, choking them out, getting them strung out on drugs. We don't have a white van. We're not about to pull up and kidnap you. You can always leave. It could be worse. You could choose worse.
Experts believe that the majority of the young women pimps and traffickers recruit, maybe even as high as 60 or 70%, have spent time in the foster care system. It's a crime that preys on the most vulnerable.
Nobody cares about them. They're viewed as the rejected, and that's what makes it so easy for a pimp to recruit them. I love you. I love you. Your mother doesn't love you because she put you out. Your daddy doesn't love you because he molested you in the first place. I love you.
If you haven't had something and you're experiencing it for the first time, and it's beautiful, you'll take it, even if it's ugly.
Which part of it is ugly?
You tell me.
Selling your body.
You tell me.
That's the ugly. You're selling.
So you do realize it's ugly, though, but you're still asking women to do it.
But you still said yes.
Again, it's a choice.
I mean, but is it a choice?
It is. It is. We always have a choice. Everyone has a choice.
Any prosecutor trying to bust a pimp like Chill for sex trafficking has to prove that he used force, fraud, or coercion to induce a woman into selling her body. That's a difficult challenge, especially when pimps like Chill know where the legal lines are drawn. I imagine that's why he and Lady P are so fond of that word, choice. Still, these days, pimps know they have targets on their backs. They just might be surprised by some of the people trying to hunt them down.
Why don't you want to be on camera?
For security reasons. We are gathering evidence against people who may in fact be criminals and who may in fact end up on a district attorney's target list because of us. And I wouldn't want them to come back and try to kill me.
Because these are dangerous people.
These are dangerous people that we're dealing with.
Jenna, as I'll call her, is a successful tech entrepreneur who lives in one of Silicon Valley's wealthiest zip codes.
I'll say to our donors, you know what? We can do this. We have an established track record of success. We can find kids for under $20,000. I mean, what would you rather have? Another diamond bracelet on your wrist, or would you rather be able to actually find a girl who's missing and save her?
That's the mission of Special Operations, the nonprofit Jenna founded. There's no shortage of groups like hers who have taken up the cause of sex trafficking. But Special Operations is more aggressive than most. It not only rescues girls in trouble, it also goes after their traffickers.
Special Operations is designed to fill in the gaps in society in order to solve sex trafficking crimes. The way the system works right now, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children sends law enforcement 500,000 tips. Polaris, the sex trafficking hotlines, sends thousands of tips. They can be months old by the time they land in somebody's file folder.
10-4, I'm in front of the hotel and I can copy you.
Jenna has connected me to her lead investigator, a former cop named Mike Ferrari.
How long have you been after this guy?
It's been on and off for about a year.
I only have visual of Mark. I don't have visual of the subject.
Mike's team, which consists of 3 other private investigators, each in their own car, is currently working a case involving a man we'll call Ray.
He has a history of trafficking minors. We know this guy is a serial predator. We've been trying to develop a pattern on him to find the location where there certainly are other victims, because each time there was an arrest made, there was more than one victim.
How many girls is it believed that he has working for him?
We know of 3 discrete victims that we've spoken with, but each one of them has talked about multiple girls. One time when one of the 15-year-olds was recovered, there were 3 other girls at that time.
As is so often the case, though, the victims were too scared to testify against him.
Sir, is he going to exit another one?
I've got the back entrance. We need to have somebody get on foot to let us know which way he goes out of the courtyard.
Ray is expected to appear in court today for an unrelated charge. Assuming he shows up, Mike and his team will use the opportunity to hop on his tail. Mike is convinced that Ray is still trafficking, but they need evidence.
Any new information to this guy will help. Part of the purpose of our organization is to work on guys that do slip through the cracks.
Yard door, that's you.
So they have eyes on him living there now.
Hey, Mark's got direct visual. Do you have visual? He's out on the street right now with his attorney. Cross street. Okay, Kirsten.
Okay, here he is. That's him right there on that corner.
I'm at my car.
Be careful with the cameras.
Yeah.
Discreet, but he didn't see it. Just looking.
I got you, Mike. Walking down Fuller Street.
Who has visual?
Yes, Mark has eyes.
Yes, Mark's to your right.
I'm here, I got him. He's about to drive past me.
Going through red lights left and right here.
Hold on, I'm trying to keep us alive. Give me 1 second. I need the, I'm behind the subject. Marshall, 1 mile.
Okay, stay with him.
Mark is on 4 lane.
Okay, stay with him.
I'm in the Bay Area, embedded with a team of private investigators chasing a suspected trafficker. From the get-go, he's acting suspicious, flying down the highway.
Be careful with the cameras because he's right in front of us.
Weaving through neighborhoods.
Man, I need somebody here and now, guys.
Behind you, coming up.
He finally pulls into a house not far from Stanford University that the PIs know well from previous surveillance.
He's at Grandma's house. Grandma's house. Grandma's house.
The day is spent keeping track of his movements. Where does he go? Who does he see? Who else might he be working with?
Already there's a new car that we haven't seen before, so it looks like we got some activity.
Traffickers are known to move victims between different counties and even states to keep them disoriented and to keep law enforcement guessing.
This guy, he reports one address in a county across the bay, one address in the South Bay. He acquires the victims in another county, so you got multiple jurisdictions involved.
You can have something happening on one side of the bay and then really, maybe 4 or 5 miles between the two, but there's no communication between law enforcement and sometimes the judicial system itself.
So that makes it really hard to catch guys like this.
Yes.
Building a real case against Ray will take more missions like this one. If successful, Mike will then hand over his findings to law enforcement with the hopes they'll open their own investigation. But there's no guarantee. And all of this is to try and stop just one of the countless pimps and traffickers out there. Still, Jenna is convinced.
This is a crime that money and a good network can actually solve.
Maybe that's a bit of Silicon Valley optimism. Or maybe it's the truth. But in thinking about money and resources and the ugly business of trafficking, there are other truths to consider too.
As crazy as these pimps and prostitutes are, they don't cross King Boulevard. And once you cross King Boulevard, you cross into money.
To the north of King lies the campus of USC, with its nearly $6 billion endowment. To the south of King, it gets rough quick.
That looked like someone had dropped a bomb on it, like it looked war-torn.
For Mickey, this divide explains everything about where you end up in life. Geography as destiny.
To be growing up in a certain area where we ain't got no resources, we ain't got nothing, we can't do this and that like certain other races can in their areas. There ain't no jobs around. You got a whole community that's not getting hired, and you got a lot of that's like, what we gonna do?
I grew up around gangbangers, pimps. At 15, you're not thinking about it like that, but then now it's in your face and you're like, hey, why not?
My brother was a pimp.
And so you just grew up?
I grew up with it, yep.
There was a lot of pimping going on.
People in your family?
A couple of guys in my family were pimps.
So you think if you grew up in another neighborhood, in another place,
totally
another
different.
city, you'd be doing
It'd be totally different. I grew up with everybody around. Pimps, gangbangers, thieves, murderers, jackers, all these it's like one boiling pot. It's real out here. I grew up and I thought that was right. I'm seeing as I'm growing up, I'm a kid, what the and I got people telling me it's wrong, but they got the money though. How can I get this money? It's a up situation, but it's a hustle.
I make no excuses for these pimps, but I understand Jackknife's frustration. It must be hard growing up adjacent to so much wealth and having so few options. But what makes pimping different than other hustles is that people's lives are in the balance. Most often, young women coming from their own difficult circumstances. So I'm actually surprised when Chill agrees to let me sit down with one of the women who works for him.
When did you start escorting?
About when I was 15, and I fell into the wrong guy, and it was horrible. And then I met Chill at a bar, and he just seemed like a nice guy. He is so sweet, honorable. He's always a man of his word. He does exactly what he said he's gonna do. He believed in my dreams, and he's just like, oh, like, I can help you. And he just started helping me.
I quickly realized that something feels off.
He never judged me, he just kind of took me in. And
it's the most glowing review of a pimp you could ever imagine.
Do you give him part of your money, though?
Yes, but it's just the same as putting the money into my bank. Just like as if you would take your card out and make a withdrawal, only mine is not a card, it's a person.
So he's your pimp?
I wouldn't call him my pimp because he's sweet. He's very honorable.
You don't like to call him pimp. What do you call him?
My friend.
And I realize I have no idea how many of these details are true, and how many of them are simply talking points to please her boss, who spends the entire interview looming over us with a pool stick in his hand. That's the tricky thing about doing these sex trafficking stories. When you drive down a street like Figueroa or International Boulevard and you see the women working, it's impossible to know their realities. Some of them are out there by choice, but some of them are not. Some of them are like honey.
Do you ever get angry knowing that there's men right now all over the city, all over the country doing to women what your pimp did to you?
Yes. In my case, a 12-year-old, for one, they don't know what's best for them at the time. I'm looking at an adult who can potentially guide me in the right direction, but I was guided in the wrong direction. So it always crosses my mind, like, if I never got introduced to this type of lifestyle, how would I be living? Or what would my life be like? Or how would I be? Would I be different? Would I still be the same? Like, I just feel sorry for the females out there who has to go through the same thing, because it's like it's just destroying a woman's whole life.
Go get it.
Now I'm like to the point where I have a child of my own, and I have to make sure that I have more than enough for her. Because I want to give her the world, you know, because she deserves it. You know, she didn't ask to be here, I brought her here.
So I've been reading your book, and I've been taking some notes here. A hoe to a pimp is worth nothing. She is actually worth everything. You take away everything she has, then give her what she needs. You, the pimp, are the cause as well as the solution to all her problems. You give her the poison, then sell her the cure. So this is something you...
That's actually true. Pimping is premeditated. You know exactly what you're doing, and you know the long-term effects of it. You have to be a sadist because you have to enjoy what you're doing, and you know good and well what you're doing. You know good and well what you're doing.